That was weird. What the fuck?
Okay,
oh, it's going down. It's recording now. Montrell, what is happening? What is going on? Zencaster just wigged the fuck out. What was that? Like it did a count. It did a fucking countdown, which it always does when you hit the record button. I see the 3, 2, 1, and then I'm doing the intro to the fucking show, and then it's just ready to record. And then it just randomly starts recording like 10 seconds later. What the fuck was that?
It flashed. It does the countdown on my side, but then it flashed 0 like 3 or 4 times.
Okay, I saw it look normal, and then it just said ready to record, and then all of a sudden it's recording. So that was fucking weird. No,
it flashed 0 like 3 or 4 times after that, and I was
because I see the countdown. I see the countdown on my side when you initiate it. So
okay,
that's funny as hell. All right, well, we're in the show. So what's up, Montrell? How are you? It's been 2 weeks since we last recorded and posted a show. How was your Thanksgiving?
To be honest with you, I thought it was going to be really not bad, but we did absolutely nothing, and I fucking loved it. We have a modular couch. Do you have a modular couch? I don't.
We have by modular meaning like it comes apart in pieces.
Yeah,
we do. Yes.
Okay, so we turned our couch into a couch bed.
That's fun. Okay.
Yeah, we watched movies and stuff all day.
That's a good idea. I never even thought about that, dude. That sounds fucking badass, man. If Amanda ever goes out of town, you literally just unlock something in my brain. Bro, if she ever goes out of town, I'm totally doing this shit. No joke. I'm gonna be like a 10-year-old with my fucking pillow fort on the couch.
Yeah, man.
That's awesome.
It was great. We got like the day before, everything closed or whatever. Well, everything wasn't closed. I forgot the grocery store still open at the first half of the day on Thanksgiving, which fucking sucks. I remember I used to work at a grocery store. I hated that shit.
I did it too.
Yeah. So I was like, I went to get some snacks in the morning for us and everything like that, and we just watched movies all day. We caught up on one of our shows. We watched this one, like it's a sci-fi horror type show, kind of isekai as well. That's the term. Yeah, isekai. Yeah. It's called From. It's on MGM Plus, and it's about like these people that you will randomly be traveling along a road one day, and if you see a branch in the middle of the road, that means you're already caught in this like town that looks like a regular like backwater town. And then but at night monsters come out and kill you, so you have to stay inside.
What the fuck? Is this an anime? What is this?
No, this is a real show. This is like a real live action show.
What the hell? What's it called?
It's called From.
Okay. What network is it on, or is it on
MGM Plus? MGM Plus.
Okay, that's a sick idea. That's like a really cool premise.
Yes. So they have to stand, and the monsters don't look like monsters. Well, I'm not going to spoil it for you.
Yeah,
if you're going to watch it, I'm not going to.
Where can I watch it? Is it only on MGM Plus or?
I have it on. We watched it on Amazon, but I think her mom's. We used her mom's MGM thing, but let me check real quick. I think it's From TV show.
I see it. I'm looking at it now. Yeah, it's on MGM Plus. Is it on Amazon Prime or?
So Amazon, it may be on Amazon Prime. I mean, that's where I watched it from. But when we started watching it, like I have Amazon Prime, so obviously I just watch it. But we were on her Fire Stick, and sometimes her mom shares a Fire Stick. So I don't know if we were on her mom's account that has MGM Plus, because when we first watched it on Amazon, the first season is available on Amazon Prime. And I think the later seasons are on MGM Plus. Like they're trying to like ease you into MGM Plus.
I'm so tired of this shit. Oh my god, dude! There's too many of these things. MGM Plus. I never even heard of this. I know what MGM is, but like they have their own streaming thing now too. Like, come on, man, what are we doing, bro? Oh,
you can watch it on AMC Plus. I mean, you can watch Walking Dead on there too if you want to watch that. But it does have.
I don't want all this shit.
It does have Walking Dead vibes, not in the sense that they're having an adventure or anything like that, but it also reminds me of Lost. If you watch that show, it's like they combine Lost and Walking Dead into like one show. It's really good, actually. I like it a lot. I think you should
Yeah.
watch it. Just watch the first
Yeah.
season. It's not like super spooky. It's not um like super gory. There are gory parts, but it's not like it's gonna make you jump all the time or some shit like that.
Well,
It's a
so
really good show. I like it.
are the monsters like what are the monsters?
Okay, so
Well, is that a
that's actually a
spoiler?
part of the.
Is that a
That's
spoiler?
actually a part
Yeah.
of the. Yeah, that's so
Okay.
we
All right. Never
actually
mind.
don't. Okay,
Don't
yeah,
tell
okay,
me. Don't
okay.
tell me. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. I don't
yeah,
want to.
yeah.
I don't
That's
want to
actually
know.
a
I don't
part.
want to. This is a
Yeah,
cool
okay.
concept. I kind of want to just do this
Yeah, yeah,
myself. So
yeah.
I'm
So
kind of I'm wrapped up in TV shows right now though. I need to finish Arcane. I've started watching Handmaid's Tale and I got like halfway through season 2. So
good show, great
I got a
show.
lot of that left to go. Oh yeah, it's an excellent show. I got a lot of that left to go though. So I want to finish that. I don't want to lose that because we have Hulu for free right now. And that's how I'm watching it.
Mm,
So I only have that through
uh,
some part of January, I think. So I need to get back on that and watch that, and then I'll probably
okay.
do this up next after that.
I would just say I
So,
do recommend if you still have it. I was going to recommend the Shogun to you or Shogun.
okay.
That's on Hulu Plus. That's on
Oh,
Hulu, and that's really
dude,
good.
I know there's a lot of stuff on Hulu that I've never seen. I know
That's the
like
only one I haven't disconnected.
yeah,
My wife has Netflix, so she uses my Hulu, but
yeah,
or no, she actually has Hulu. I pay for the Hulu, but she pays for the Netflix.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, like I disconnected my Netflix a long time ago. There's really oh, actually I lied. There is one show. If you like political thrillers, like did
Hmm.
you like House of Cards?
Yeah. Oh, of course.
Okay, there's this political thriller on Netflix called The Diplomat. Really good fucking show. I just
Okay.
randomly watched it and I was like, holy shit, this is really fucking good.
No, dude,
Really good
Netflix.
show.
Dude, the problem with Netflix at this point is there's a million shows. There's too many shows. So it's like I'm sure
Yes.
there's
Yeah.
tons of good shit on Netflix that I would really enjoy, but how do I find it? You know, it's
Exactly.
like I have no idea how to find it. That's the number one issue. Number two is that you can't trust Netflix to continue the shows anymore. Like they cancel shit
Yeah.
so much now.
Yeah.
It's
That's
gotten out of
true.
hand. So they're just like
Well, this
pooping
one
out.
did get renewed for a season. It's going to be on its third season. So
Okay. All right. Well,
I'm
that's good.
happy with
At
that.
least there's enough there to like. There's enough meat on the bone that makes it worth it, even if they do cancel it. You know.
Yeah.
So, but no, this one looks cool. I'll check this out for sure. So.
Yeah.
Um.
I highly recommend it. We just randomly watched it one day. I think because we were watching Carnival Row. We were watching
Yeah.
Carnival Row, and once we finished that, this came up, and we were like, we saw
It's
the
like
preview for it.
recommended.
Like,
Okay.
yeah, we saw the preview from it. We were like, holy
Nice.
shit, this looks pretty good, and we watched
Yeah.
it. Um,
Okay.
yeah, I also did finish Arcane, by the way. I want to take back what I said like 2 weeks ago about Arcane, or was that on? Were we on Discord? Anyway, I should on the show.
I think you said it on the show about Jinx. You didn't like what they were doing. with
Yeah, I didn't
Jinx.
like
Yeah.
I didn't like what we were doing with Jinx, but then I take all that back. It actually turned out really well.
Okay.
I'm not going to spoil it for anybody, but I think the story where they take the characters, just the character development for all three characters, even the side characters, even the villain. Actually, I think the villain was done kind of dirty, but everybody else I think was really really good.
Mm.
And I hope I have a strange feeling that I know we're getting 3 spinoffs, but I have a strange feeling they're not going to be as good as this. Like the way this
Yeah.
ended, it's not
Yeah.
going to be as good. So
Yeah. I mean,
yeah,
Arcane is unusually good. Like is
yeah.
how I would describe it. It's
You
it
know what's
doesn't.
funny about Arcane?
Yeah.
People love this show, but there are like several lesbian scenes in here,
Oh
and
yeah, dude, it's all
no
over
one
it.
is
Yeah.
no one's saying whoop this, and it's like maybe because the show is written in a way where it's just good as fuck, like you
Yeah.
know. So
Well, yeah, right.
um,
I'm gonna be honest, dude. I this is kind of on my radar, right? That conversation when those things happen, where people are like, "Oh, woke, oh, fucking woke bullshit." It's usually because the show or the thing in question sucks or isn't very good in
yes,
some way, and that's
yeah.
like what people decide to criticize. It's just like, but they're not taking it from a place of good faith. They're not arguing
They
from a
don't
place of
take it
good
on
faith.
they don't take it on a macro level. They just
Yeah, they're like blaming the woke stuff for the show being bad when it's just that maybe the show is just bad, and you know
exactly.
it's like, and they didn't write in the lesbian scene or the trans character very well, you know. And if they
Exactly.
had, you wouldn't care, you know. It's like so. That
Yeah.
that's becoming all too common, unfortunately.
So I do see that Apple TV is only $2 a month. So I think I'm
Yeah.
gonna rent it for 1 month, and I really want to watch Severance because I've been
Season
hearing.
two's
I
about
mean,
to happen,
besides,
man. It's coming out next
yeah,
month. Yeah.
I know. Besides you, like
Yeah.
everyone I know is like, "Yo, you gotta watch Severance, bro." And I'm like, "All
Dude,
right,
it is
man."
so fucking good. Oh my god. I'm telling you, I almost want to rewatch season 1 before I watch season 2 because it's that good. There's so much detail in there that you're not going to catch the first time probably. And I'm sure there are
Okay.
things that I missed that I'm going to rewatch and I'm going to be like, "Holy shit, wait, I didn't even notice that." You know, like so like it is an extremely detailed show. And I highly recommend it to everybody. Like season 2 is coming out next month. I think January 17th is when it's premiering. I think they're doing a weekly release model with it though. So
Yuck.
yeah, we're, dude, I think we're in the minority with that, by the way.
I
I
know
think
we
we
are.
are. I was watching a YouTube video the other day where some guy was talking about streaming, and he was like, "Man, aren't we all just over the binge watching? You know, it's like I just prefer watching a show week to week." And he made some good points about it where he was like, everybody's watching it at the same time. Everybody knows, you're not having to guess where people are, and they're, you don't have to tiptoe around that some people aren't finished yet. Some people binged it in 12 hours. Some people binged it in 12 days, and it's like, so there is some truth to that for sure. But man, as somebody who I don't have the patience for it anymore, really, because I don't want to be part of those conversations. So I don't care. I just want to watch the show.
Yeah.
So it's, I don't know, but yeah. So Severance is coming out too. That'll be a really good show. So this seems like there's a lot of good TV right now, actually.
Yeah, I
Out
feel
there.
like TV starting to make a comeback. I don't know what it is, but yeah, it's just really some really good sleepers out there. I think because a lot of them aren't super high budget. They're just
Yeah.
like regular budget,
Yeah.
and they have to focus on actually having a good story besides $250 million for one fucking episode. Game of
Yeah.
Thrones, like
We don't need
I
that
don't know.
shit, dude. Like, oh my god,
Yeah.
yeah, it's overdone. Like, we don't need that.
Also, I'm so over. I think a lot of it is I'm over the whole 2 year, 3 year for a fucking season type shit.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
we need, we need to bring yearly shit back.
Yeah.
So if that
Yeah.
means like I'm not going to get the super CGI shit, so be it, bro. I just want my yearly shit back to continue the good story. Like
Dude, it's not like
I don't know
weekly TV there weren't good shows on weekly or yearly TV releases. Like Breaking Bad
exactly.
came out every year. There was a season of Breaking Bad. The only gap there was the last season, I believe.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was like same thing with Mad Men. Walking Dead was like that. I mean, like this was like a thing. I don't know what happened. COVID destroyed it, and I feel like these companies just like took it as an excuse now. Like, oh, people are willing to wait, so we're gonna take 2 years to make the show. It's like,
No,
bro,
but
you have
then
8 episodes. What do you mean 2 years? Like,
exactly. And then on each episode, you're giving me a fucking recap because I forgot what happened 5 years ago when your last
right?
goddamn
It's
season dropped.
it's
Like
totally
the fuck.
necessary, actually. Yeah, it's funny as hell. So, but no, that's good, man. I'm glad you had a good holiday. I've never really, I can't think of a Thanksgiving I had where it was quiet like that. I think it happened once. It might have been COVID actually. That was probably the one time where I think we
Okay.
only invited my mom over and it was like just the three of us. So, which that wasn't a bad day. But sounds like a good time. So, but no, my week was good. I cooked a couple times. So
Oh shit.
I made the chicken cutlets for Thanksgiving. We did not have a turkey. I know some people are gonna be like, "Oh, it's blasphemy! Turkey sucks. Fuck you. Chicken's better." So I just make chicken. Um, that is my stance on Thanksgiving, and I'm sticking to it.
I mean, I
But
agree with you, but
yeah. So I made the chicken cutlets, and then earlier in the week, there's been this TikTok recipe from this woman named Teeny. I don't know her full name, but her name's Teeny. On TikTok, she released this mac and cheese recipe last year, actually, that started recirculating this year, and it looked good as fuck. So I decided to give it a shot because the video had pretty much like step by step instructions and the ingredients and everything. for it, and I ended up making that, and that actually came out really well. Like I
That shit.
was.
Was that the picture you sent?
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
that
No,
shit look
that
good as
was
fuck.
that was mine. Yeah.
Yeah, that shit look good
And
as fuck.
dude, it was so good, and it held up for days. Like we were literally eating it, like on Sunday after I had made it on Tuesday. Like it was still kept for several days. So yeah, that was super good. I'm actually thinking I might make it for Christmas as a side dish because we're gonna go to my the in-laws for Christmas. So I may try to make it as a side dish and see how people like it. So yeah, we'll see. But otherwise, yeah, I did a lot of gaming. We'll get into that, and then there was putting up all the Christmas stuff outside, which is complete. Christmas decorations are out, and
Nice.
they're currently lit up right now. So the Christmas is getting more elaborate every year, though. It is getting to a point of I feel like we're hitting critical mass. Like I don't like, dude. We spent I don't even know. Like I think we worked on it 5 days last week. Like 5 different days we were working on it, and
Oh my
it was
god!
just I
I
felt
already
like I
know
had
it's
a
all
job.
Amanda.
I felt like I had a job last week, and and it's great. I love it when it's done and you get to see it and it looks great. I love the Christmas decorations, but dude, putting it up is like holy shit.
Oh
Dude.
yeah,
Oh my
that's
god.
the worst part. Is putting it up. Yeah.
Oh, like
I mean, we
hours and
just
hours.
decorate. We still have to put up our tree, but because I see it laid out. Like we have the plastic tree, um, so I see it laid out in the box. I'm like, oh fuck, we gotta do a fucking tree.
Yeah.
I always complain about it until I actually start doing it, and I actually love it. But
Yeah.
then
I'm in the same boat.
it's yeah.
Yeah. The
So
tree's the easy part though. Like it's ours is we don't we have a fake tree, so it's just the
yeah,
3 pieces, you put them together, and then the putting the ornaments on there takes less than an hour usually. So but dude, the outdoor, like we have so many things that need to be put together now. Like you don't just take them out and put them up, it's like I have so many things that need to be put together, and then you stake them in the fucking ground, and you got to make sure you have enough extension cords for every single plug, and that you're not overloading one outlet. It's like, oh my god, dude. So it's gotten a little crazy, but
I will say
um,
every year though it looks nice.
thank you, I appreciate it. Well, hopefully you guys will be able to come over and see it. I want to do some board games hopefully this month. So
Okay.
I did send a text in the chat if you're able
Was
to
that
hit
for
those
this week?
days.
Was
No, no,
that
no,
this
no,
weekend or
no.
next weekend?
I'm thinking the 21st. So that's 2 weeks from Saturday, this Saturday. And
Okay, yeah,
then
I can do that.
maybe New Year's Day, which is on a Wednesday. I don't know if everybody has it off, but I will be off. So
I do. I do. I might hit that up too.
me and
It
Jet were
doesn't
talking
matter.
about it. We were talking about it. We like maybe we start early at those days, and we like really just try to grind through a couple Oathsworn chapters.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
really put in some time. So I'm down for that personally. I'd like to get through some of this.
Hey man, you can always go with the sleepover method.
Maybe we'll consider it.
But yeah, I can definitely do like if I want to get like early. You talking about like 10 o'clock in the morning? Because I can do that. Like I can jump over there.
We
I
were
can be
talking like
there.
maybe noon,
Okay, yeah, that's cool.
But I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I can wake up that early, to be frank. But
Yeah, I mean, I get up early anyway, so that's why I don't care.
Okay. All right, fair enough. We'll talk about it. But all right, well, hello everybody. Welcome to the Player's Take. This is episode 299. I'm your host Justin DeSimone, joined by my co-host as always, Montrell Rice. And this is our weekly show where we talk about video games, video game news, and other topics pertaining to video games. We post at 6 a.m. Central Time on Fridays on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, YouTube, and your favorite podcast app of choice. And if you'd like to send us questions, you can do so on Twitter at The Player's Take, or you can send us an email to theplayerstake01@gmail.com, and we will answer those on the show. All right, Marshall. So we got a lot of news to get to. I say we jump into what we've been playing so we can get through some of this stuff. So one note about next week. We know we have the Game Awards coming. We are not 100% sure how we're going to handle it. So there is a possibility that the show will either be posting a day late potentially, or we may end up punting it a couple weeks and covering it in 2 weeks instead. there's some scheduling stuff that is potentially preventing us from doing it on Friday. So yeah, so you will get an episode next week, but we might not be covering the Game Awards potentially. But all right, watch out. Let's get into what we've been playing. It's been a couple weeks, so there's been some time to play some games. Do you want to go first, or you want me to start?
Yeah, I'll go first.
Okay.
So I did start playing Metaphor again. Now that I went through my whole spiel here, nothing really. I was turned off by the game because I'm 39 hours in, and I unlocked another mechanic, and I was just like, okay, bitch.
They monolith
Like,
softed us. Oh no.
yeah. So,
Oh man.
um,
Yeah.
and it's a mechanic within the character. So I'm not going to spoil it for you because you're playing the game. So yeah, that comes up and everything like that. So that's why I stopped playing the game. But now I'm trying to. I'm just doing some grinding right now, trying to get my bearings back into the game and everything like that.
Mm.
So the next game I've been playing, I'm not going in any order here, so don't worry about that. But the next game I did beat was Shadow Generations. It was like 6 hours, 6 or 7 hours to beat.
Oh, okay.
I
Sure.
beat that game. Yeah, it was a really short game because it's mainly an extension or DLC extension to Sonic Generations.
Okay.
But I already have Sonic Generations on my Xbox. So when I bought Shadow Generations, Sonic Generations came with it, which is weird. So I have it on both consoles now. And yeah, I played it and it was fun. I hope you really can see. I remember we read that article a couple months or a couple weeks ago, or maybe a month or two ago, about Sonic Team or Sega giving Sonic Team a lot more money. You can definitely see where the money's going. The quality of the game is very good. The cutscenes are super good and everything like that. They have frontierish like cutscenes, and you can see where the money was going in Frontiers as well. So I'm very I'm hesitant to say it, but I'm kind of positive for Sonic in the future. I can't wait to see where they go with it. Usually I'm not too positive for Sonic, but I mean this game in Frontiers, like they actually made the boost mechanic fun. Like, because I used to always complain about it. He just runs down a straight fucking path and that was it.
Yeah.
But yeah, in this game, like they actually have challenging, platforming and things of that nature, and in Frontiers as well. But in this game, they took what they learned from Frontiers and elevated it, and I can definitely tell. Like I said, with the various powers that Shadow gets, speaking because it's Shadow, they can do a lot more experimental shit as well and get away with it. And I think it worked really well. I was actually loving like almost everything about Shadow Generations. So the 9 out of 10 that IGN gave it, I actually concur. I agree. It is a 9 out of 10 for me. Really solid platforming game, especially a Sonic game. So I do this to myself every fucking year. I bought YS Nordic, and I fucking hate it. So like I don't know. I don't think I like the YS games, man. I tried it.
East. Oh,
East. East games. I actually wrote it down on my phone for this moment to pronounce it, but I always say YS. But yeah, the East games. I fucking hate them. I want to like them so bad, Justin. You have no idea how much I want to like them, and then they do some kind of gimmick shit. Actually, you know what? Yeast 8 was not bad. I don't know if it was 8 or 9, the last one I played. That wasn't that bad, actually. This one, like the combat is good, but then they have this stupid like open water mechanic, like you're like a fucking pirate or a Viking or some shit. And I'm like, bro, I don't and it's boring as fuck. Like it's so stupid, Justin. Oh my god, it's so dumb. And like it's a real mechanic. You have to upgrade your ship, put money into the ship and everything. I'm like, oh, this is gonna be a thing, isn't it? I was like, this is not what I want to. I did not want to deal with this shit like at all. And like, I don't know, the story isn't. These game stories like aren't great. Sorry, JRPG fans, I think you're going to kill me for that because like this game has like a weird cult following. But like, yeah, this game reminds me of which I believe it started on the PS2, right?
They've been around, I think, at least PS2 for sure.
Yeah, it should have stayed there. Anyway, so that's all I gotta say.
Oh man, oof, taking shots. Okay.
Yeah, it should have stayed there, man. Like, it reminds me of like a remastered PS. Every game, everyone I played has reminded me of a remastered PS2 game, and I always say it to myself playing the game. Man, this would be a fire PS2 game. It's not. I'm playing a PS5, bro. I'm sorry, I don't want to play this shit. So yeah. So the last thing I played was Dragon Age Veilguard. I'm sorry, 62 hours. Beat this game.
Damn. Okay.
I did complete every side quest though, so that's why it's 62 hours. I'm actually like 82% from or 85% away from platinum in it. I'm just lazy and I don't want to platinum it. It's the easy platinum. All I gotta do is open up all the chests, like go back and find the chest, and I'm done.
Yeah.
So it's an easy platinum, but I don't feel like it because I'm lazy as fuck. So I beat the game. I did all the side quests, and I was getting to a point though where I was getting frustrated because it felt like the game wouldn't fucking end. And that's Dragon Age for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you remember I played fucking Dragon Age Inquisition, and I had 120 fucking hours in that game with no DLC.
Yeah.
And yeah. Luckily, this game is half that, but yeah. So there are some things with this game. I jumped through it. I gave it a 7. And I gave it a 9. I'm settling at 8. So where do I start? Okay, so I'm trying to go fast. I know we got a lot of shit to get through, but
take your time. It's fine.
The game.
We're not in a rush. We're not in a rush.
Yeah, but the game itself is a very good game. I believe the reason why I think this game is really good. The new BioWare team is on the right track as far as with their writing. It's not, like I said, Andromeda level, but it's not trilogy level at all. Mass Effect trilogy level at all. Yeah. Also, the choices they do give you are, some people may not like this, and it's not for everybody, and I understand it. You cannot be an asshole in this game, like at all, pretty much. The choices they give you are like nice, not so nice, or neutral. Like that's your choice. You can't be like fuck you, I don't care about your feelings type shit. I was able to smack somebody though. Like I did the the BioWare like I'm tired. Your assertions, and then I smack somebody. So I did that part. I was able to do that. They do have that in this game, which I like. But the writing is still, in my opinion, it's still below the quality of trilogy. But I can tell they're ramping up. So that's why I can't give it like a full like 7 or 8. Or I'm sorry, that's why I can't give it like a 9 or a 10. How everybody else was giving it. It's definitely like, a 7 teetering on the 8 teetering on the 7 on a good day or whatever the case may be. And yeah, because like I did come across the cutscenes that everybody was talking about. The one where they make you do it. What's her face does a fucking push up when she calls Tosh she instead of they. I did come across like some of the it's just like random stuff they're argue about like Emmerich wanted to go out hiking with fucking Harding, and Harding was like, "Why are you taking all these fucking books with you?" And he's like, "Well, I need to read and I need to learn. I need to shave while I'm out there." And she's like, "You're going hiking. We're going camping. Like you don't need to do that or whatever. You're visiting for Odin." Like, so it was like, "Well, Emmerich, you can do this. Maybe consider taking less stuff." And Harding, "Wouldn't you like to take more stuff sometime?" And she's like, "Yeah, Rook, I guess you're right." And he's like, "Yeah, Rook, I guess you're right." And it's like a fucking Saturday morning special. Like, dude, like, like it was another instance. Like Emmerich, he's a necromancer, so he operates on like he doesn't operate. He does magic on like sometimes dead bodies and communicates with the dead, or whatever. And Tosh, she has a really strong sense of smell, so she fucking hates dead bodies. So she's like, "Bro, stop having dead bodies everywhere. Like this shit is annoying and it stinks." And he's like, "Whoa, I need it for this, that, and the third. And it's like, me personally, I don't think there's a middle ground. There's like, you need to get rid of dead bodies or I'm off this team. Like, that would be my thing.
I mean,
But
it's a pretty extreme situation. It's like,
yeah, exactly. So it's like, but then they work it out. Rick's like, what's harsh? And it's like,
you have to understand, he's a necromancer. He really does need dead bodies,
Yeah, exactly.
like, what do you mean?
So, I like that. That's the part I don't like. So when I put that in the group chat, and I think they need to stop being afraid of having those choices, right? And this is gonna sound like really mean and maybe like on a bit of phobic, but like, yeah, if Tasha's like, I feel like I'm Day, I should be able to say, I don't give a fuck. Like, who do you think? Like, first of all, I support her choices all the way. Thank you, or their choices all the way. Thank you very much. I am an ally. But if I wanted to be a fucking asshole in that character, I should be able to say, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah,
who
well,
you think you are.
that would be a really interesting way to explore it, wouldn't it? Because then it would create conflict with Tosh.
Exactly. That's what I want.
It might create conflict with the rest of the party too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's and that's just one example, but they don't have to do that, right? At all. But I actually, despite all the shit that Tosh got, all the bullshit, as far as like controversy, I actually like her character development, and she sounds monotone in those clips, but that's just who she is as a person. She's like a really straightforward person. She doesn't bullshit around. So like in the clips, if you don't know that character and she's coming across as monotone, you're like, oh, that's just bad acting and bad writing. And it's like, no, that's actually how that character is. And I think she's actually a really well developed character, to be honest with you. I actually like that character a lot. But I think her journey or her side stories, actually, I'm not gonna lie, I liked almost every one of their side stories, like their main quests that you have to do, except for Nev. I think Nev is actually the flattest character of all of them. I don't like her voice actress rather. She's just a boring character to me. The only thing she got going for her is she's like super hot, but like that's about it. But I actually end up romancing Balara, which is like the quirky like Marvel quipping one. I don't know. She's just really cool. That's her character, because not every character is that character, if that makes any sense. So I actually like that character a lot, getting to know her and stuff like that, and I decided to like romance her. Now there's some bit of other controversy, like there really isn't any nudity, at least when you romance Balara. I think there's like nudity when you romance Tosh, and maybe other characters, but I mean, nudity is like, but they show some butt cheeks. That's it. I mean, that's pretty much it.
I did see some jokes about that.
Yeah, that's all they show is like butt cheeks. I did watch Angry Joe's review of it, and I totally disagree with everything, almost everything he said. I do agree with him that
really harsh. Holy shit.
Yeah, I do agree with him that they're like both me and you said, there can definitely be more conflict. I think they need to write those in. I think that really shapes the team. It really shows what you as a player, how you can handle those situations, and just role playing and shit like that. Because there is one major decision. There's a couple major decisions or whatever, or whatever the case may be. But like I said, you remember the decision where like, you have the choice to do one town or another town, and the person's like, and they're kind of mature about it or whatever. And I still feel that way. I still feel like they were too mature about the situation. Like, I'm like, bro, like, hate me, bro. Like, I just let this happen to your fucking town, bro. Like, fucking hate me. I don't know. So I really do want that, but the side stories are written very well. The quest, there are no fetch quests in this game, barely any fetch quests. You can definitely tell they tried something different with it. So the whatchamacallit here, sorry about that. Hold on here. But the game to me reminds me, it's like a combination of Dragon Age 2 and Dragon Age Inquisition. They took the best parts of 2, which was hardly any, um, and they
Yeah.
took the best parts of Inquisition, and they kind of like mashed them together. Um, I feel like they still try to keep the DNA of 1, but I mean, 1 is such a unique of Origins rather, such a unique game. In Origins, you were able to be an asshole, so I think that's what people are wanting. They just want to be an asshole, and I think that's totally fine. I the thing I think that the industry should get away from is this character didn't like this situation. I really do like the light and dark paths of stuff, or like the Paragon and Renegade stuff. I think they need to bring the Paragon and Renegade shit back. That was like really good in my opinion. But this game isn't bad in my opinion. If you find this game on sale, I say give it a try. In my opinion, I know everyone's shitting on the game, but for some reason it's still up there in the charts, and it's still been 20,000 people playing it on Steam. So somebody's lying about this game, and it ain't me. So, that being said, if you're gonna play this game, I recommend you do the side quests. They're really good. Not only that, but it pays off in the end. In the end of this game, man, the last like 3 to 4 hours of this game is whew, it gave me like Mass Effect vibes, like the trilogy vibes, man. It reminded me of Mass Effect 2 because you have to assign certain people.
Very similar to the suicide mission, right?
Yeah, and you can actually just fuck up and kill everybody and yourself, and just fail. And they actually did. Like one person tagged me on Blue Sky. He was like, I fucked up. He's like, did I fuck up? And it was like, everyone in your party did, including Rook. You guys cannot make it. I was like, holy shit, they actually did it. Like you can just fuck up. It just like fuck everything up or whatever. So I think that's like really cool. But yeah, like it's very it's very good, man. It's suicide, the suicide mission in Mass Effect 2, fucking Thanos, end game type shit. Like it's a really good, because my biggest complaint throughout the entire game was I felt like the factions weren't really factions. But then once they started to divvy up and you learn all this stuff about your characters and where they come from and everything like that, you can actually know who can deal with what situation really well. And I think even the suicide mission in Mass Effect 2, I felt like was really weird because certain people can do certain things or whatever. And they didn't really make it known who can really do it, or like throughout the entire game or whatever the case may be, right? For instance, in Mass Effect 2 for the suicide mission, you remember the part where you had to go through like the locust, the fucking collector locust part?
Yeah.
And it's like you can choose Miranda or you can choose Jack. Or I think you can choose somebody else too, like Samir or somebody like that, right? And it's like,
oh, that's right. Yeah, you need somebody who's psionic to put up a barrier, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. With their biotics.
Biotics.
So yeah. So the correct answer, spoiler alert, is Jack. She won't die. If you use anybody else, they would die. But like Miranda's like, my biotics is actually very top tier because I'm a fucking clone or whatever the fuck. I was engineering the fucking lab, blah, 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 blah. Like, bitch, chill out. So I remember my first playthrough, I did choose Miranda because she was talking herself up and she died. So
I blindly did the I did the suicide mission without looking it up, and I got everything right.
Really?
Wow. Yes.
Wow.
I remember in the moment, I remember that choice. It was Samira, Jack, or Miranda, and I was like, bro, Jack is fucking. She's like she's scrappy, right? Like she's not gonna let herself fucking fail this. That was my logic, and I picked her. I was like, Miranda's fucking. She's a blowhard, whatever, So I went with Jack, and it ended up being right. So that's interesting. I've never really played. I've only played through it twice, that I think, now that I'm thinking about it, and in Mass Effect 2. So it literally is that binary. Like you just pick the wrong character and they die and they fail. Like it has nothing to do with relationships with them or anything like that.
Well, that's another factor too. So even if you don't do Jack's side mission, she will die. regardless.
Okay, but it's specifically you have to do her side mission. It's not like you've
Yeah,
gotten her relationship to a certain point even without that. Okay, it's
correct.
just
Yeah,
all right.
yeah. So I think this game also takes that to the next level as well. But I feel like this game does a really good job at fleshing out the characters better than, well, I would say on the level of Mass Effect 2. Because there were several moments where I could have chose Balar or Nev to do this, and I chose Balar to do one thing, and I'm not going to spoil what happened there, but then I chose Nev to do another thing, and it actually like kind of worked out for me or whatever. It did work out for me, and there were moments where I thought characters died during the cutscenes, man, and they didn't die. I was like, yeah, I was literally cheering. Like I was like, okay, this is actually really fucking good. I was like into this shit. I was like, holy shit. This was like, Justin, this was like at 3:00 in the morning too. So I wasn't even, I was tired. So that's how, when I'm tired, I don't get like excited. I'll get like annoyed as fuck. Like I don't want to play this shit anymore. I was hyped, bro. I was like, this shit is good as fuck. Like this is like I'm watching a fucking movie. Yeah, like I don't know. It was a really good ending to the Dragon Age thing. I think people who played Dragon Age, they would really enjoy it, especially if you watch the side content or the other medias of Dragon Age, the comics. You're going to see a lot of characters in here from the comics and from the side content of Dragon Age. So I don't know. I think they did a really good job. I just think they need to not be afraid of taking risk and pissing the player off. I think what they did with the end mission was like what they need to do throughout the entire game, if that makes any sense. So yeah, but that is, and I played Scarlet Nexus as like a palate cleanser. I'm gonna try platinum this game. It's a fucking shit show to platinum, but I'm gonna try platinum it. So I have been playing that, and that's about it.
Okay, fair enough. All right, so yeah, I've been playing 3 different games. We did play a little League, not much to say there. I think we played it once.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Speaking of League, bro, I put it in League like Sunday. Nobody responded. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna play a solo game. I'm gonna play solo, right?
Oh no.
And Justin, when I tell you, I haven't touched the game since, by the way.
Yeah.
When I tell you I had the worst experience of my entire life,
mm-hmm.
I lost like 2 games in a row. I lost one game, then I won the other game, then I lost another game, and then I lost after that. And I was carrying. I lost the game. I ended the game 19-7 and lost.
Wow.
And so I was like, okay, I can queue it for another one. So I queued for another one. And in Champ Select, top laner banned Silas. I had it selected. He was already pre-selected, and they banned him. You just know they give you a notification, like your teammates has this person selected that you're about to ban.
Right.
So he bans it, and then he fucking locks in Yumi top. At this point,
okay. So
I'm already banned. I'm already chat banned at this point. Yeah, he's trolling. And then in the chat, people are like, give it a chance. Give it a chance. I'm like, can we dodge? Can we dodge? Can we dodge? Please dodge.
Give it a chance. Give it a chance. Yumi top. Give it a chance. What?
Bro.
What? What? Give it a chance? What are you talking about?
So I don't know what the fuck was going on. Because then they locked in Lux bottom, Thresh support, and
that's fine.
I don't know
that's doable. That's like a doable lane for sure. Like
I'm not done yet. Hold on.
Okay.
Then we have Kaiser's jungle, so that's not bad, right? So I go Zed mid, right? I'm like, fuck it. Yeah. I'm gonna try to carry this game as hard as I can. I'm going against the Akali. I'm already a losing matchup against the Akali. So I'm like, I'm gonna try to win this game as best as I can, bro. Fountain spawns. Lux goes top. Thresh goes bottom. Without a support item. Yumi picks up the support item. attaches herself to me the entire fucking game, sucking up my XP the
Wait,
entire game mid.
did this person just decide to troll you specifically?
For for no reason. I never met this person. I never played the game with this person. I looked at this person's account. It's clearly a Smurf account because like all their other games, you know, they play top or whatever and they go like 21-1 or whatever. They haven't locked into this account in about 3 to 4 weeks before that day.
Okay. Did they
Did
help you in lane? Did they try to help you in lane or anything, or no? They just sat on you.
They sat on me and then they took my kill every fucking time without fail. And then they pinged me after they took my kill. And now I died to the Akali or whatever. I got ganked several times in lane. Like the Rammus just kept ganking me and the Akali like killed me or whatever. And she never placed a ward down at all. At this point, I'm full on tilted. Like I am seeing red.
Of course, I would too. Are you kidding me? This is horrible.
I unmuted myself.
You're being
I said it
like you're being griefed straight up, dude. Like,
bro, I unmuted myself and I said, "Please, Yumi, please unattach from me. I need my XP. I can handle this by myself." I said that like the beginning, right when we first started fighting, and she just wouldn't do it. Yeah, and then it was pinging me, took my kills. I don't know if they were trying to help me out or not. I just didn't want them attached to me because first of all, that cat like fucking tilts me when she's in the game. Like,
yeah.
And I thought about it too, bro. This is the ultimate troll. This is the ultimate troll character because she can attach to you and you can't do nothing to get her off of you. Like you're at the whim of that player.
It's totally a grief character. You can grief your team with her more than any other character in the game, like for sure.
And I was just sitting there. I was like, I don't understand how this is allowed. So, bro, I kid you not. We're about 15 minutes into the game. Akali's already fucking fed. I died like 4 times in lane.
Yeah.
It's a wrap. Like my shit is a wrap. The Yumi's 4-2. She only died twice. Took 4 of my kills. I'm full on tilted. So I was like, fuck it. I'm gonna go into the jungle. Bro, do you know I ran into their jungle and I stood in the jungle and she followed me all the way to the jungle?
Yeah. Wow.
On their red side. I was just like, all right, man. I was literally running away from her. I was using like the Z teleports to get away from her. Like, that's how bad it was. And she was trying to follow me. Every time I would back, she would start backing.
Dude. No way, bro. You're fucking with me right now. That's crazy.
I'm gonna record.
What is this?
Nothing. I did nothing. I said nothing in champ select, bro.
Bro, this player just decided I'm fucking with this Silas player and I'm gonna ruin their fucking day. You know, like that's literally what they did. Were they in a party with the rest of the team or something? Like, what was the team saying? Were they saying anything? Like,
they weren't saying nothing. The Thresh was just like, "Yo,
I mean, he was a low bottom, by the way. Yeah, what happened there? Oh
my god, to keep going, bro.
Oh my god.
Nobody was saying anything in chat. Yeah. And then the Kaiser was like, winnable. Bitch, when he said that, I muted myself. That's when I know they saw the thing. We muted. I muted myself after that. I got so mad, bro. I was so. I have never been this mad.
Was this a pre-made 04? Were they like, we're gonna fuck with the rando we get? We're gonna ruin his life? Like
how? I was in rank, bro. I was in rank.
Okay. So that's not even possible. Okay.
Yeah,
you were in ranked and this was happening.
That's why I was so mad. That's why I was
What do you mean? What is going on? That's awful, bro. Oh my god. This reminds me. You know that experience I told you about way back in the day that made me quit League for like 10 years? That's what you're describing reminds me of this. What reminds me of that. It's not as aggressive. It seems a little bit more almost gaslighty, where they're kind of not saying anything to you, but it's the same kind of behavior where like one person sabotages the game and they specifically sabotage you specifically, and then it's like as the game goes on, obviously you're having a horrible game because of this person, but nobody's watching you. So they're like, you're trash. They're like, you're the one who's bad. You know, they're pinging you. They're telling you suck. I don't know if that ever escalated like that, but like, you know, and then the enemy team started griefing me and saying, oh, this guy's toxic. You know, fuck this guy. Everybody report Shaco or whatever. It's like,
dude, I wish
so,
I wish I would have got some kind of feedback, bro.
yeah.
I got nothing but the Yumi pinging me, and she followed me the entire time. I typed a literal paragraph in the fucking ban thing. I don't think she got banned. I haven't turned on the game since.
Oh my god!
I was so
I
mad.
wouldn't, dude. I quit League for 10 years because of an experience like that. So I mean, I totally get it, dude. I totally get it. Like, I would not touch this game after that shit. Fuck that.
It was in
Oh
my
my
ranked
God.
game, and then I even was like, I'm gonna brush it off, bro. I'm gonna go in for another one. Then my game crashed during the loading screen of the next like champ select.
Oh
I just
my
fucking
God.
turned off the computer. I went to bed. I was like, you know what? It's not meant for me to play this game.
It's a sign.
Yeah, it's a sign.
Yeah.
So I haven't turned on the game since. I'm probably banned.
What a bad night, dude. Holy shit. I'm sorry.
Dude,
Well, you know,
saved it 'cause-
sometimes where you get like a lobby against you. You remember that game we had where there was this team that was like, they were like prolonging the game on purpose, and they were talking shit and saying how bad we were or whatever. And
Yeah.
I snapped and lost it, and I was like I was fucking like, I was just like yelling at these people in the chat or whatever. And then they spent the entire game making fun of me the rest of the game, you know, or whatever. Like, I kind of asked for it in that situation, at least, you know. It's like at least I provoked them into doing that, as much as they were being dicks, no question. But it's like, I did like instigate it, right? I did like start talking shit towards them, you know, or whatever. So it's like, in this instance, in the one I talked about way back in the day, for me, it's like, you're just playing the game. You didn't do anything. You literally picked your character. Like, the person banned your fucking character too, and then troll picks Yumi. It's like, you didn't do anything. Like, what?
Because I
like
have my
you
chat
got picked
turned
out of a
off.
hat. You got picked out of the hat to be the unfortunate soul that this person ruined your game. You know, it's like, I don't know.
Yeah, and because I was like, I didn't say nothing when the chat select came up. I said I don't say nothing in chat at all, and I picked my character. I declared my character, and then once I did that, it was like, when he gets banned, he says, "You can't cage me for long," and I was like, "What the fuck?" And yeah, the Yumi player banned my character, and I was like, "Yumi, why the fuck would you ban my character?" Said nothing in chat. Then the Thresh is like, "It'll be okay." I wanted to fucking throw a bomb at Thresh. I was just like,
I would have just dodged. Personally, I would have just dodged immediately. I wouldn't have played this
dodged.
game. I would not have played this one out. I don't know. I would have totally dodged.
I should have just dodged the game. I was just very heated.
Yeah,
man.
but you're trying to persevere through it, you know? It's like, and it just feels like the game punished you for no reason. It's like a sign. It just feels like a sign. Like, is it a bot?
Yeah.
Does like Riot put that in there to like really like put their players' faith to the test, you know? I don't I don't. Yeah, so Montrell, sounds like you're not going to play League for a while.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, I'm not playing League for a while, man. I logged into the League thing. They actually been playing today. They didn't get banned.
Wow.
And yeah, yeah, that person's clearly a Smurf. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, they just go on there. They just go on there when they want to like cool off and like just fuck with people. That's what it sounds like.
Well, the thing is, right? Like, the last game they just had, he played Yumi. He played top lane. He played Yumi jungle, and went 0-4.
Oh my god!
But then the game before that, he played as Yone. He went 14-4. So I don't know if he just wants mid lane, and if he doesn't get mid, he feeds.
Oh, that's possible. But what is the purpose of that? Just dodge. I don't understand. That's so weird. People are weird, man.
Yeah, I don't know. He's been spamming games actually today on this account. Like
Yeah.
I'm looking at these. He has like 20 games today. What the fuck? God damn. Yeah, because my your scroll only goes. It says last recent 20 games played. Yeah, so he's been spamming games. Today he played 18 games or 17 games today.
Jesus Christ. Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
so I don't know what's going on with this guy, but
Yeah.
yeah, that was my league experience. So I would definitely never play league without y'all ever again. That was
Okay.
God telling me to not do that
Yeah.
anymore.
I've
So
still not done it, by the way. I have not solo queued ever
don't
since we
do it.
started
Don't
playing a
ever
couple
do
years
it.
ago. And
Don't-
I've always had the temptation, and I'm like, I don't know why these guys solo queue. Like, there's, and then I'm like, never mind, I'm not gonna do it. So I
I
haven't done it.
I'm being completely honest with you. I've never experienced a season like this season as far as the community. This is
Yeah.
probably one of the worst seasons I've ever experienced. This community is fucking terrible. And I thought maybe because I'm getting an old man, but even Salty said this is probably the worst season he's experienced as far as like community wise. It's really that bad.
Yeah.
So yeah. Um don't play this game by yourself,
Don't
guys.
play League. Just
Yeah.
don't play
Or
League.
just don't play. Just don't play League.
Just don't play it.
If you watched Arcane, you're like, oh, I want to play the fucking game.
Nope.
TFT.
Nope.
Play Legends of Runeterra. Don't play. Or you can play League, but play ARAM. Play everything but Summoner's Rift. Do
Play
not go to
TFT.
Summoner's
Just
Rift.
play TFT, dude. Like, go play TFT. Like, don't.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
Don't play Summoner's Rift at
Do
all.
not play
It's
Summoner's
not
Rift.
worth it.
Yeah. It's not worth it. But
Yeah.
all right. So yeah, I've been playing Turtle Wild a little bit. I got to level 57 on my Hunter. The brief tryst that Brad and Hunter had with Turtle WoW is been over. It seems like for a couple weeks. I don't think they've logged into the game. Basically, Brad tells me and Jet that they're playing, and then within a week they stop logging in. So I don't know. I don't really. We're never playing with them.
Is this the intentional troll?
I think so. I think I'm starting to feel that way. Because they immediately went on to Vermintide 2, and they've been playing that for 2 weeks now, 2 or 3 weeks. So yeah, I do think it's like some kind of weird troll thing going on. I don't know. I don't care. I when he told me, I was like, oh, cool, bro. Well, if you guys get to 60 and we can group together, great. It's like I'm not putting anything on them playing. Like, I never have and I never will. Like, I've been playing this Hunter with the total intention of playing this totally by myself. So I was never hoping anybody would join me. Anything you guys do to catch me and play with me is absolute icing on the cake. Like, there is no commitment from me with regard to anybody playing this. So I'm just playing for my own edification. Like, I or my own enjoyment, I should say. So yeah. So whatever. So got to 57. I'm sure my next session or two I'll probably hit 60. So that's been fun. But yeah, so I jumped into Metaphor on Wednesday. And then I've been playing Baldur's Gate 3 as well. So I'm going to talk about both of these games. So I'm about 31 hours into Metaphor or so. And man, Montrell, I don't know. This game is excellent. Okay, it's like it's undeniable, right? But it is a Persona game to a T. Like, it's not trying really to be anything else. Like, it's a Persona game in a different setting, and that's what's different about it. That setting forces them to kind of do some things a little bit differently than they would from a traditional Persona game. But for the most part, otherwise, it's just a Persona game. Like, you have your bonds with with certain characters, and that increases the archetype ranks and stuff like that. You have your statistics, the 5 stats that you kind of have to grind rank up over the course of the game. Your like eloquence and tolerance and imagination and courage, etc. And these things, it's just like Persona in that regard. You spend time, you have like, the game will give you periods of time where you'll have an objective, like say 12 days out or 14 days out, and you'll have those days to use your time however you see fit. same as Persona, right? So this game is definitely Persona. Like, I want to be clear about that. I don't think anybody's trying to say it's not. But that's from my perspective. It's interesting because the people who made this game were part of the Persona team. They're not the Persona team anymore, but they were, and they moved on to a different team and wanted to make something different from Persona. But then they just made Persona in a medieval fantasy world. Like, I don't really understand like how that happened here. But regardless of that, the game is excellent though. Like, it's an excellent game. I think so. I don't know like how deep I really want to go right now. There's a lot to say about this game. Unfortunately, I think a lot of it is too spoilery to talk about in this specific setting. So
I mean, the game has been out for. I don't think you can talk
yeah,
about because you're only 13 hours in, right?
no, 31 hours.
You're 31 hours in. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, bro, I put some time into this game already. Like, oh yeah,
Okay,
I've been grinding the shit out of this, dude. I just got to the ports. I won't say I just got to the port city, but I'm at the port city.
Okay.
Now. So I'm at like the third major city you go to.
Okay.
And
I actually just. I'm 34 hours in, according to my PlayStation. I just passed the port city.
Oh, you're done with it? Okay.
Yeah, I'm done with it. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm probably going slower than you then because I've done everything you can do up to this point. I've done every side dungeon. I've done every quest that's available. So I'm full completing everything as I go for the most part. So what I'll say though, let's just start with the world, right? I love this world. I think this is, we were talking about this and I've been thinking about this a lot, right? In terms of fantasy lately, and Dragon Age was an example we used where we were talking about somebody describing it as fantasy slop,
Yeah.
And I've probably called it like generic fantasy before, and that's what it is. There's nothing necessarily wrong with that, but I think it is an issue that is starting to become really pronounced in fantasy. Like, people who make stuff in fantasy, whether that's writing books or doing television shows or movies or making games in a fantasy setting, is that it's becoming like the tropes are almost too well trodden at this point. Like, it's always dwarves, elves, gnomes, it's the same fucking races all the time, right? Nobody ever makes their own shit. And here in Metaphor, that's not what Atlas did. They've made up their own fantasy races. Yes, there are some similarities to certain ones with, the traditional ones. Like, there is an elf-like race. I don't remember what they're called. I think they're the Rusant.
Yeah, they are the Rusants.
They have the pointy ears or whatever. So you do have that, but for the most part, the rest of them are kind of, I'm not going to say unique, but they're more in that Japanese flair of fantasy where you kind of have your cat people, you have your bunny people. It's like they're a little bit more. They kind of go more with the animal type designs with their races. So they've done that here, and I think it's fairly unique. I'm not going to say wholly unique, right? Like, Final Fantasy's done some of this, with like Final Fantasy 14 has done some of this before. So there's been other games, but it's definitely more in the Japanese flair. They don't seem to want to go down the path of the more Western tropes of dwarves, elves, etc. So I find that refreshing, though, right? We don't get that very often, and I do find it refreshing here with this game. So I do think the designs of all the races are really cool. There's actually a lot of tribes, which is really cool. There's like a fucking bat tribe. There's normal looking humans, but they're the ones who are the most looked down upon, which is interesting.
Because they're so normal looking. Like,
they're so normal looking. They don't have any horns or anything, so everybody looks down on them. So which is interesting. But the other aspects of this, though, the kingdom that you are in is fucking really interesting. Like, it is, this game is heavily political, like in a real, like not real world political, but within the realm of the game world, the game is extremely political. So it's
I
like,
knew you would like this game. I knew it.
I don't want to spoil. I don't know. This isn't a spoiler, really. I think most people know this. You learn it pretty quickly within the game, but the main crux of the game is there's this giant kind of tournament going on. Basically, the king dies at the very beginning of the game. It's the first thing that happens, and to find a successor, there is a tournament basically where everybody is capable of being king for a specific reason. And that's a very interesting premise in a medieval fantasy world that is typically a monarchy. Been a monarchy, in really almost like a theocracy, actually, in terms of the way it's run from a government standpoint. So this game is like literally almost forcing democracy into that,
Yeah, I like that. I like
essentially.
that too.
And it's a really cool concept. And the way the characters, specifically the characters you're playing with, and then other characters, and even just the general random people like NPCs and the populace, the way they react to all of this is really cool. They've done a really good job of crafting a very interesting narrative here in a really interesting world as well. Because this world is also extremely dangerous. It is not a safe place. Going between the major cities is a huge threatening. Like there's a lot of threats out there, out in the wild, and there are these enemies. You learn this very early in the game, but there's an enemy that's kind of like the horrific monsters of the world. That are they're called humans, which is really funny. There's probably a very specific reason for that. I'm sure we will learn later in the game. But yeah, they're called humans, and they look like really fucked up humans that are like mashed up with various creatures. And They are becoming more prevalent in the world. So that's kind of one of the main subplots in the game, I would say. So there's just a lot of interesting intrigue there, that I think is going on in this game. And I think Atlas has done a very good job, or this team rather, I should say, has done a very good job of crafting narrative where you have a lot of interesting characters, you have interesting factions. There's multiple factions like vying for power, and trying to fight with each other in certain ways. And there's a lot of subterfuge and subtext as well to many of the conversations you have, many of the people you interact with. And there's just a lot that goes unsaid as well in many of these instances. So this game is really deep from a narrative standpoint, I would say, and so far it is extremely well written. It is probably the best story I've experienced this year. Like, I don't even think it's close either. There's almost nothing else that I've played that even remotely touches this game from a narrative standpoint. So I don't know how you feel about that, but that's my point of view. But I'm trying to think of what narrative driven games I really played this year. I don't really feel like I played a ton. So
Yeah, I mean, the only one I've really played, to be honest with you, is Dragon
Dragon
Age,
Age.
and I think for sure Metaphor is written better than Dragon Age for sure. Um,
Yeah.
Especially with the dungeon that you get before you go to the
Port City.
port city.
Yeah.
That dungeon, I mean, the game was really good up to that point too, but that dungeon, I was just like, holy shit, this
Yeah.
is a good ass game, bro.
Yeah.
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 I agree with you. I love everything about the game, the narrative, um, and everything of that nature. But yeah, keep going. I'm sorry.
Well, yeah. So this is a thing in stories too that I think is sometimes a problem, where the story telegraphs really early kind of what the arc of the narrative is going to be. And this game
Mhm.
does that. And usually when that happens, it can be difficult for the story to maintain your interest throughout from moment to moment, because you kind of know where it's going to go. Like from a main macro standpoint, you kind of know where it's going to end up. And it's really obvious early, like obviously that there's a structure that they give you, and it's like, yeah, this is, you're going to go to these places, that's going to happen for sure, more than likely. And that's true for like probably 50 or 60 hours ahead of you. So that's a challenge for them to overcome, in my opinion, from a narrative standpoint. And frankly, they overcame it with flying colors. Like, I am fucking enraptured by this game. Like, it's got me totally absorbed. I think the things that are happening in the game are just so fucking interesting. The main conceit of the story is really fucking interesting. The reason your party is doing what they're doing, that's like kind of always underlying every action they take, and it's really intriguing because it's almost in conflict with what they have to do,
Yeah, yeah.
ultimately. And I think that whatever climax that comes to is going to be really interesting as well, I think ultimately. So I'm very excited to continue the narrative with the game. It's just really cool. I don't know, I gotta hand it to Atlas. They somehow manage to one up themselves with every game they make, and I don't know how you can keep doing that. You know, when I played Persona 4 Golden, it was a 10. Then when I played Persona 5 Royal, it's a 10 and it's better than 4, you know? And then now I'm playing Metaphor and this game right now is a 10 for me and it's like better than Persona 5, you know? It's like I don't know how they keep doing that, you know? It's just they're fucking crazy, man, cuz
Yeah,
I love
I-
Persona 5. It's excellent. I would still highly recommend it, but so far I like Metaphor more personally. Um
yeah, and I think that's the thing for me. I think as much as I like Persona 5 and I like Persona 4 as well. I think I think by the time I got to Persona 5, I played Persona 4 I was young, or not young, but like young
yeah.
enough. Um but like when 5 came out, I think I was past the high school shit. So I was
Yeah.
just like, I need, even though the stories they were telling were mature in the sense, I was just like, I'm kind of past, this stage in my life. So I don't really want to retread this ground.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, when I'm playing Metaphor, it's like a, a f- it's a, like you said, a fantasy story, but like with Atlas's like flair on it. And it's like really good. And the story they're telling is very compelling. Um, Playing this during like election season was very eye opening.
No,
coming
there's
out of
definitely some flashes of that in there, dude. And obviously, I don't think that's intentional. Like this is a Japanese game, but
yeah,
yeah,
exactly,
it's
yeah.
really interesting though. Yeah, that's
Um,
funny.
yeah, like so obviously election season's over, but I was playing it like at the peak of election season, and all I can think was like, this is flashes of this is flashes of that, and yeah, like I do like how you said one thing, like they're turning like a theocracy or a monarchy into like a democracy, and how
Yeah,
the people are like the first time voters are like having to deal with that repercussion. Like, was
yeah,
this what it's like when our founding fathers was like, "Hey, man, y'all can fucking vote now. There
yeah,
is no king," and they're
yeah.
like, "Huh?
Well, yeah, no,
I can
there's
actually choose." Like,
dude, there's scenes that happen where there are literally just groups of people arguing with each other in the street, you know, like out
yeah,
in broad
exactly.
daylight, just being like, I think we should do this. I think we should do this. No, that's stupid. You know, that only helps this race. You know, it's like, it's awesome. Like, that's cool. Like, they're really presenting it in a very real, raw way, you know? They're not shying away from that type of dialogue either, which I think is frankly, I actually think it's kind of brave, because in the climate we're in, people are very like cognizant of all this like race relations stuff and discrimination and everything, and it's like this game really hits those things like head on. Like it's not shying away from that at all. It's a core part of the game's narrative at all times, pretty much. So,
Yeah, and that brings me to my point that I made a couple weeks ago when I was talking about this game, how this game isn't getting attacked by the woke mob or
yeah,
whatever, but like this
yeah,
game is actually like, I don't want to say super woke, but it does make you think about a lot of shit. Like you're like,
yeah,
like so it kind of tackles stuff from the perspective of like people that are in poverty or people that are struggling, and then people
yeah.
that aren't struggling, and then how they view those people, and then how both sides perceive each other, and then how there are faults on both sides and stuff like that. So I don't know. I think the game's really fucking good. I don't know.
Well, and it's also just like they put your main character, the character you play as, is the race that is the most discriminated against. So they're putting you in a position of being a minority in the game, you know. And it's like I'm surprised that more people aren't talking about that element to the game, because they don't shy away from that either. Most people you talk to are like, ugh, Elda, ugh, you know, like
Fucking Elda.
get the fuck away from me. Like, you know, like, dude, you walk into the church and they're literally like, get the fuck out of here. I'm praying, you know, like you're ruining my fucking prayer, Elda. And it's like written into the scripture of the fucking state religion that Eldas are like bad, you know, like, or Eldens rather, I should say. So that's an interesting thing that they're doing there, you know. It's like I can't think of a game that's actually done that before, really.
I
You know,
mean,
where
the
they
only I yeah, you're right. I mean, I could help. I could. I mean, obviously the things are there, but like even the other people with the cages over their heads, like
yeah,
they're a different
it was
religion as
starry,
well, and
yeah,
the story, and then they don't even like you. They're like, well, I mean, I can tell you about my religion, but you can't join. Like, what the fuck? You're not a starry
yeah, you're an
fucker,
Elden,
and
fuck
it's
you.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. But
right.
then them themselves. they themselves are getting persecuted by the fucking state religion. So it's just like I was like,
right, yeah. No, and it's that's my point. I think it's pretty maturely handled for the most part, and it's very interesting. And yeah, so I don't know. There's just a lot of themes there that are well handled, and I don't know. I don't feel like people are talking about the game at that from that perspective as much. I think it's a really important component of the game. I don't know. I mean, obviously, this is intentional from the team that made this game. Like, they wanted to tell the story like this. So, I don't know. I'm sure there's more to say. Well, I don't want to like bog the whole conversation down with that. So, talking about other aspects of the game, though, the structure of the game is very Persona like I've said, but I will say so far it's a little different where they don't give you as much time as they do in Persona. It feels a little more truncated. Maybe that changes later in the game, but so far when you have an objective, they really only give you like 10 to 14 days to do it. It's not like an entire month that you have, like what would happen in Persona sometimes. So you have a little bit less time to work with, but it doesn't feel like it. It feels like you make more progress with less time than you do in Persona. So I haven't felt a crunch at all yet where I feel like I don't have enough time to do everything that I want to do in the game. So the way they've structured it seems to work from a time management perspective for sure. And there are a lot of activities that you can do in the game. I think this is the main thing with the fact that it's in a fantasy setting, though, that really makes this game a lot more palatable from a pacing standpoint. Is there's just a lot more combat you can do in the game than in Persona typically. In Persona, when you go into a dungeon, it generally is a very deliberate action that you're doing because there aren't a lot of options for combat in Persona. It takes place in the real world. You don't fight enemies out in the real world. Like it's all takes place kind of in a different place, generally speaking. So in order for you to do that, you have to be very deliberate with going to those places, and there aren't that many of them. It's usually the main dungeons, and then there's like an endless dungeon that the game has where you can just kind of go grind, maybe, basically. Whereas this game is very different from that, where there are tons of side dungeons in this game. So far, I've already encountered at least 7 or 8, probably, I would say, between the first 2 regions of the game, and I'm loving that. Like, it's awesome. I just think it plays a lot. It's like they fit a typical JRPG structure into a Persona game. It's weird because you're on a journey, like you are globetrotting, like you're on a journey going around the world, but at the same time, like, it's still a Persona game. It's like the way they've made all that work is really really well done as well. And I think the side dungeons they're nothing like super great, like they're not crazy good, like they're pretty basic layouts, I would say, for the most part, compared to the main dungeons. But it's nice that they're there, though. I like having this activity where you're kind of fighting monsters. You're fighting goblin like enemies or fucking sandworms and shit. You're like you're fighting real things that are dangerous within the context of the world. Whereas Persona, it's a lot more, I don't know, like it's like metaphorical, I guess. I can't think of a better way to say it, where these things are abstract. These enemies you're fighting, they're not like necessarily real things in the world. It's always kind of more like an abstract place you're in, where you're fighting these things. So I like that aspect of the game a lot as well. And I think the way I think the bond system in this game a little bit better than Persona 2. I think it's a little more truncated. There's only 8 ranks per character, which I think it's 10 in Persona, I want to say. And it feels a lot easier to get those ranks up so far than it does in Persona. Yep. Like, exactly. It kind of happens a lot faster. And I appreciate that as well. So it kind of feels like you're not wasting as much time in this game, where like everything you're doing feels a little bit more consequential than it does in Persona.
Yeah, that's what I mean when I was saying like it feels like Persona but faster. And I really couldn't explain how without like spoiling stuff. So I'm glad you're playing it. But yeah, that's what I meant when I was talking to you about my first initial impressions of this game. I was like, it just feels like everything is almost straight to the point. Like they know what they're focused on and they're just doing it. And I have to say that Persona is not like that, but I feel like there's a lot more not bullshit, but like a lot more space
Yeah.
in Persona,
Yeah.
where this game is like, it's more focused.
Yeah. Well, so one thing I will say that I'm a little disappointed by, actually, and this is kind of a missed opportunity. I think the game would be larger if they had done this, but I don't like the fact that you have a gauntlet runner in the game and that you're not really traveling through the world the way other people would, like normal people do.
Mm,
You're kind of skipping over the danger element of traveling because it's made pretty clear in the very early part of the game, the first 5 or so hours, that traveling is super dangerous in this world. Traveling between the cities, and they kind of eliminate that element for us, and we don't have to like travel through like forests or whatever to get to the next town, or go through like a mountain pass or something like you're just kind of skipping over those kind of things. So you don't have that part of the journey that typical JRPGs have, where you actually have to go in the areas between the towns necessarily. So that's kind of the one thing. That's one thing that I'm a little disappointed by. Unfortunately, it's probably a necessity of the story. Really, you kind of have to do it that way with the way they structured things. But I would have liked to have seen a little bit more of that travel, because you kind of get a peek into that at the beginning of the game. When you go to the fort, and then after that you're kind of traveling back to the capital, and you have to go through that mine or whatever, and
yeah.
you're doing that, like you're traveling through a forest and then a mine. It's a pretty long section of the game, I would say. Like it's an hour or two at least of gameplay for sure, and you don't get that anymore after that, basically, at least up to the point I'm at. Maybe at some point that changes, but there may be another point in the game where you're forced to do something like that, but for the most part that's not really there. So that's a little bit disappointing, I would say, but it's not a huge deal. Like you get plenty of dungeons to go explore, like opportunities to explore dungeons. So that's there as well. And then yeah, combat. So yeah, I guess I haven't talked about combat at all. Combat in this game, it's very similar to Persona, right? It's based on the same systems. I will say I think I like this game a little bit better than Persona, in the sense of some of the structure of the combat is a little different. So in Persona, this game has the weakness system just like Persona has, where like if you hit an enemy's weakness, you get an extra turn, right? That happens in this game, but they have this system of like these like I don't remember what the game calls them, but they're like pips. So you get like a pip for each character, and when you hit an enemy weakness, you only use half of a pip instead of a full pip. So that's how you get the extra turn, basically. And it kind of limits how many extra turns you can get. But the other aspect to this that I like is the archetype system is kind of basically like a class system. Essentially, it's like a job system from Final Fantasy is kind of what I would think of it as. I really like this system in this type of combat system that they have, um, because I don't like. I'm going to be honest. I've never been able to put my finger on why fully, but I don't really like the Persona system in Persona. You know what I mean?
You know
Um,
why?
yeah, go ahead.
Because it's Pokemon.
I, that is exactly what I was thinking of. And this is the problem with the way Persona handles this, is that you're basically combining personas together to get more powerful personas. And
Yeah.
while in theory that sounds cool, it ends up creating this very random progression that you have, where you're not really deliberately making certain personas. You're kind of just mashing together whatever you happen to fucking have, and you just come out with something that works or it doesn't. And what that also does is creates this situation where you get these very randomized loadouts of abilities, where like you'll have Joker, for instance, who's like he's a caster and he has all the fucking like elemental spells. And then you've got when he upgrades, though, he might upgrade into a persona that only uses one element of those, and you lose all the other elements or something for some reason, or they're not as effective anymore. And it's like you get these really weird, undeliberate switches in like strategy and gameplay that you're kind of forced into because of the whole system. Whereas this game, everything's deliberate. You choose what archetype every character uses at any given time. And
Yep.
you can inherit abilities from other archetypes, so you can make the physical fighter a little bit more versatile by giving him a healing spell, or you can give him a fire spell or something. So you have full control over that versatility, which I love. So it's like you kind of have this deep customization system in the game that Persona doesn't really have as much, where it's a little bit more randomized. And I appreciate that more here. The other thing I will say is that physical based builds in this game are way more effective than they've ever been in Persona. Physical builds in Persona are, at least from my perspective, they feel like a meme. Like they're pointless. Like they don't work and they don't do a whole lot of damage in Persona generally. I feel like in Metaphor, it's the total opposite here. You have 3 different physical damage types. You have piercing, bludgeoning, I think, and then slashing are the 3 types. I think they call it striking, the bludgeoning one. And Persona only has just physical, I think. So they got a little deeper there, and I appreciate that because it kind of lets you, like, I have my Stroll, for instance, is I kind of made him my physical fighter. Like he's purely in physical build. So every archetype I've done with him so far has just been about like increasing his attack, doing more damage with attacks, having a higher critical rate, stuff like that. So so I appreciate that that's a viable thing in this game. Whereas in Persona, I've never really felt like that. You know, it's like every time I get a physical Persona, I'm like, oh fuck, like this character's useless. You know, I need to give him something else. You know, it's like because they have no ability. Because generally speaking, most enemies in Persona aren't weak to physical. That's very rare. Whereas I feel like in Metaphor, it's very common actually that they're weak to one of the 3 damage types in the physical realm. So it's so I appreciate that as well. I think the game. I think they did a very good job of designing combat there. I like the thing where if you're over leveled enough, when you initiate a fight with an enemy, you just kill them outright. I love that. That's really great for grinding if you ever need to grind, which is really cool as well. Man, what else is there? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, characters. The party is really good. I love all the characters so far. Like, there isn't anybody in the party so far that I hate that's like annoying or anything like that. This
True.
is, I mean,
I think that's probably going to change. But
okay, but so far,
oh
par for the course with Atlas. They've done a great job with these characters again. So,
yeah, I how have you been building Hulkenberg?
she's kind of she's kind of the weird one in my party because they start her off as a tank, and I found that archetype to be completely useless. For the most part,
I think that shit is super good.
except for the synthesis skills. I used her synthesis skills a lot because it had a defense down element to it. But I find a 1-turn taunt to not be super compelling when I often need the character to do other things with their turn, you know. So yeah, I kind of I made her a mage actually at one point, and now she's my merchant as well. So she's kind of more random. I have her kind of following a very random kind of jack of all trades path. My main character, I'm focusing strictly on magic stuff. He's gone healer mage. So I'm kind of focusing
I did
on that
mage for him too.
Yeah,
his magic seems to be really good.
They don't give you anybody that's a mage until I'm assuming the next character you get, probably, which is really deep in the game, by the way. Like, we're talking 40 hours in, and like the only mage is your MC. Like Stroll, Hulkenberg, and then the 4th character you get they're not mages at all. Like, they're total physical characters, all of them. So yeah. It kind of forces you almost to use the MC that way, which is fine. I don't think it's a problem really necessarily, but and then I forgot my were you saying something else? I forgot what my next thought was.
I don't want to make you forget.
But yeah, I think I like the stat system as well that you had mentioned as well. I kind of like that element to the game. I don't remember Persona had anything like that. With like strength, endurance, agility, magic. I think it does. I want to say it does. I'm pretty sure Persona 5 had that. So yeah, that's cool. But and then music is great. I think the soundtrack's really good. I will say I don't think it's better than Stellar Blade, but this is a personal preference thing. I don't think it's worse music than Stellar Blade. I just personally prefer Stellar Blade to this. I do think the soundtrack is excellent. So don't get me wrong.
This is definitely going to be a toss up in my opinion. It's like with whatever the people's vibe is, that's what is going to win. I just think Persona's gonna win. Not Persona. I'm sorry, Metaphor is gonna win just based off it being the Atlas game, and people really
Yes.
love those games.
Right.
But to sit here and say Stellar Blade doesn't deserve that title you're being an
Right.
asshole, because that
Yeah.
game's music was fire.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, I mean, dude, the battle music in this game is hilarious because you have the opera singer in the background literally just going crazy the entire fucking song. He's like, "Hia, hia, hia, hora, hora, hora." Like, I'm like, what is he even saying? Like,
Oh no, he gets me hyped every time
I
I do
know,
that.
it's so funny. It's really well done. Like, because it's timed perfectly with the instrumental as well. Like, it's excellent. Like, but it's hilarious. I'll be sitting there. I'm sitting there fighting normal battles, and I'm just like, I'm like, it's just like, I love it. I don't know. It's funny as hell. But no, the music's really good. I think the environments are a little more detailed than Persona as well. I
Yeah.
love the different environments we've been able to go to so far. It's just really cool to see them kind of flex their muscles on being able to do something that isn't just like Japan, you know? Because that's usually what all their games are, is they always take place in Japan. So it's like, so it's kind of cool to see something different.
I think this is what the team really wanted to do. That team that broke off from Persona, they just really wanted to make Persona, but in a different world.
Yeah.
I think it worked out.
Yep.
I will say my disappointment is maybe this changes in the future of the game. I was hoping like when the trailers dropped, you can drive the fucking what do they call them,
Gauntlet Runner. Yeah.
the Gauntlet Runners yourself or stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
That's what it made it seem like in the trailer. But so far, it's just like it's a just like a glorified loading screen. Like you can talk to when you're going in between places. You can talk to people on the Gauntlet Runner while it's running and stuff like that. You can go outside and look at it run, which is really cool, actually.
But you can tell they're really stitching that together. It's very bare, like when you go outside and look. But it's cool that you can see it though. They're not hiding away from that. So that is cool. But yeah, there's not a lot to those environments.
Yeah, I was hoping to like battle other Gauntlet Runners and stuff like that. Like not a mech game, but like a pseudo mech game. Like have a little bit of upgrades and stuff like that.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
It looks like they focused their time and attention on the story and the combat and the character development, which I really appreciate. So I can't complain.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah, since we're both playing this, I mean, once we're both done, I think we'll probably do some kind of spoiler discussion on it for sure, like a full kind of breakdown on it. So I'm pretty focused on this game right now. I'm probably gonna finish this I would imagine within the month probably of December. So we'll hopefully be able to talk about it later in the month a little bit more in detail. So and then yeah, other than that, I did start playing Baldur's Gate 3 as well. So I decided last week, I was just like, I was sitting around, I was like, I sat down on Wednesday and I was done with the lights for the day, and I was like, I want to play something new. And I was like, I kind of was like, I picked Metaphor, but then I was like, okay, I don't want to just play Metaphor though. I want to play something else. And I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm just going to start Baldur's Gate 3 again. I need to get through the early part of the game again with a new character, because I didn't like the rogue I was playing. That was kind of my main issue the first time I played Baldur's Gate 3. I thought the rogue was really boring. So I decided to restart with that warlock I made with you and Jet. I just remade that character in single player. And I am enjoying this game so much more now that I did that. I'm finding the warlock way more fun. Yeah, dude, I'm 15 hours into this, probably Baldur's Gate 3. So I'm way past the point I was at. I think I stopped around 5 hours last time. So I'm kind of running around adventuring in Act 1 right now out in the wilderness. And yeah, man, this game, I mean, like, what am I gonna say that people haven't fucking said about Baldur's Gate 3 at this point?
Yeah, what else can you say?
It's an excellent CRPG. I think the one thing that I'm thinking of right now, though, with it is this game is really special. Like, and CRPGs kind of tend into this type of level, the way they are, because you have no choice when you decide to make a game like this. You really have no choice but to really lean heavily into narrative, dialogue design, dialogue trees, conversation trees with NPCs and stuff. And if you get it right, if you hit it right, it's just you have a great game. Period. Like it's it's just like the conversation trees in this game. Like Montrell, you really do need to play this game at some point too. Dude, the conversation trees in this game are so fucking good. Like this is peak choice based dialogue in video games. Period. Like they will present you with sometimes like 7 different choices you can make, and you really only get to pick one of them. And they will all have different results. Some will result in a fight. Some will result in you convincing the character to let you go or something, or others may push you deeper into the dialogue tree where you have to discuss a little bit more. And it's just like the game is very robust from that perspective. And I think the combat is a really great rendition of D&D. Like they've done a really good job of translating 5th edition D&D into a video game. And it's just it feels really fucking good. It's rough sometimes because it's dice roll based, so it's obviously very RNG. You're gonna have strings of gameplay where you miss 4 times in a fucking row and the enemy hits you 4 times in a row, and it's gonna fucking suck. But that's just how it goes. And
you know what really gets me about that game? Because I actually did play it solo. I played it solo for actually. Let me check my Steam. I played it solo for a while actually. I want to say like maybe 4 or 5 hours by myself.
Yeah, but dude, this is what I will say. Playing through the beginning of the game again, I think the first 5 hours of the game kind of suck. Like I actually don't think it's very good.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Well, it just feels too stretched out because you start on the Nautiloid ship and it takes you an hour, probably at least an hour to an hour and a half to get off the ship. And then once you're off the ship, you spend your first 3 or 4 hours running around collecting your party basically, and then talking to a bunch of NPCs and getting all your quests for Act 1. It's like it just takes a lot of time to get going, and once you get out of that, the game becomes really fun because you're like exploring caves, you're exploring destroyed settlements, you're
So
like
I did play 17 hours of this game. I did play 17 hours of the game. I would say realistically, because probably like that was like probably like 2 or 3 hours with you and Jet. So maybe 15 hours realistically. And I do remember a couple things. The last like major part I left off at was I met the what's the dark skinned elven people's names?
Drow.
The Drow. I met the Drow lady, and I had a choice of like killing her or I think I actually tried to kill her. I think I did kill her actually. I think I killed her, even though I found out later like she's a party member. But I killed her. But yeah, she was just an asshole though. But then I'm quickly learning. I have to. The reason why I'm saying this because a lot of people are going to try to play this game, and if you don't play D&D, you don't understand the options that are available to you.
Yeah.
And when I say there are options, not just like choice options, combat options,
right? Non-combat options.
Non-combat options. There, I played one part. So you remember the part where you go to the base? I can't remember their name. Where you meet that Drow lady at though, but just get in there.
I don't think I have not done this yet. So
okay. Oh, so that's actually crazy that you can go totally different.
Well, dude, they're like I kind of have avoided the goblins so far, and they're kind of the main. They're kind of the main driving force of Act 1, I think, at least in the early part of it. And I'm kind of avoiding that right now. I'm kind of hitting the outskirts of. I think I'm trying to get to the creche that Lizelle wants you to go to. I'm kind of trying to get there now. So,
but see, that's another thing too, right? So like your playthrough is totally different from mine because
you can do it in it. That's what I mean. Like when you get these games right, dude, they're fucking excellent because I can play the game totally different from you, and the game will react to that, by the way. So if I do the creche first, that may lead to events that if I go to the goblins after that, maybe might inform something with the goblins that changes the way
like,
that.
Oh, we heard about you at the creche,
Yeah, like, exactly. Right. Yeah, exactly. And
this is mainly for like DJ if you're listening. Like DJ, I think you should give this game a chance. As well.
Oh,
I'm gonna go back and play this game.
He'll be blown away from a development standpoint for sure.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But get off the ship first. I know that's gonna be that's to me. That's like the gateway for a lot of people.
I don't really like the ship. I think it's a bad.
Yeah,
intro,
the ship is not.
Personally.
Yeah, it's a really bad intro. But the combat options. I really want to talk about how you said combat and non-combat options, bro. I can use my character, and I did this actually. I stacked like a whole bunch of barrels of bombs up next to a really powerful character, and then just blew it up. And that was the combat phase. I was like, I can do that. Like, or I snuck behind somebody and then pushed them off the bridge, and that was the combat phase.
Yep.
Like it's so much stuff you can do in this game. That's just fucking crazy. And it's hard to get your mind around how much shit that you can do. It's actually kind of overwhelming.
There's so many ways to approach combat. Like the goblins, for instance, you're actually kind of funneled into the encampment they're in. You don't really have a choice. Like you have to go in there. You don't have to like go deep into it. You can kind of skirt the outside. But what I decided to do, like I kind of stealth my way in. And I was trying to stealth through it so I could like get around it and get out. I ended up getting caught, but it's like I could have stealthed through it where none of the goblins saw me and actually just completely avoided that section if you want to. Or you could fucking stealth and like there's some of them on like roofs and stuff. You could stealth up on the roof and push them off, like you said. And yeah, that probably starts combat, but like there's just a lot of different ways you can approach things in the game. You could use like illusion. You could use like disguise self and turn yourself into a goblin or something. I haven't not tried this yet, but I think in theory you could turn yourself into like a goblin or something and like go walk up to them and have a conversation potentially. It's like I don't put it past the game to give me that level of depth in terms of choice and what I can do with my character, which is fucking sick, dude. Like it's so cool. And I just think the other thing I will tell people if you're gonna try this game, and DJ, this is for you for sure. Do not do as little loading as possible. Just play the game. Whatever happens, for the most part, let it happen. Like if you fuck up a dialogue and you end up in combat, oh well, bro, you fucked it up. Like it's like just accept the consequences of your choices. Obviously, if your whole party dies, you have to load the game. Obviously. But even if you get into a combat though and somebody dies and like you don't have any revivify scrolls, there are ways out of that. You can go to Withers, I believe, and he can revive people for a gold fee. So it's like don't get so obsessed with min-maxing combat to the point where like you don't take any damage and you fucking wreck don't play the game like that. Like I say just take it as it comes. Like these games tend to be at their best when you just accept the consequences of your actions, and I appreciate how realistic that feels in the game with the choice based design of everything. So, but yeah, man, it's just I think the thing I will say with this game, the barrier for me has been this is the issue is I am very much a completionist with these types of games, and to do that in Baldur's Gate 3 is extremely tedious, because that means you are interacting with every object in every location. So if you go into a city and you're like opening every fucking barrel, you're opening every box and like seeing what's in there. Cause if you want to find everything, you kind of have to play like that because there's just a lot of hidden shit. There are things hidden everywhere, in this game. There might be like a fucking key that leads you to a hidden warehouse or something that finishes a quest in a non-combat way, that you might not have otherwise been able to do, and stuff like that. So it's like, the game ends up being kind of tedious to play because of that for me. And it's just, I need to be in a certain mood to like want to do that, so, and as a result, I feel like when I play at night after work, I'm not making a lot of progress, even if I'm playing for like 3 or 4 hours. It's like, I did like one location and I might've fought like 3 combat encounters and did like a couple conversations. And that's all I did for 4 hours. It's like, it doesn't feel like I'm making a huge amount of progress with the game, but the other thing though is that all the choice based stuff makes this game very replayable. And I very much want to go back and play with you and Jet when we were trying to play together, and play through a campaign with you guys. I want to make like a different type of class. I'm not going to make a warlock. Probably, I'll probably make like I was kind of thinking about maybe making a paladin or something, and doing like a multi-class with paladin. So I'm very I've gotten very excited about the game now that I'm actually into it and like really playing it. But and then the last thing I want to say about this, well, two things really. Soundtrack in this game also fucking excellent, like amazing fantasy soundtrack, dude. Like, oh my god, it's so good. And then the party, the characters, really good so far. I love all the characters. Like, I don't think there's a single party member that I really dislike a lot. I will say Will is probably the least interesting of all of them so far. But I don't dislike him. I just think compared to everybody else, like he's just doesn't have a whole lot going for him for me personally. Um, but yeah, I think they've done an excellent job. So I'm right now I'm in the middle of two amazing video games, and I'm fucking eating good, man. Like I'm that's why you haven't heard me mention League in like a week and a half, because I'm good, bro. I'm happy right now. Like I don't want to ruin this by going and playing League. So yeah, I'm gonna be deep in these probably for the next few weeks, for sure. But yeah. Montrell, do you think you're gonna pick Baldur's Gate 3 back up at some point again soon, or is it just too much?
Fuck, I might play it now. Fuck. I might be rotating this in metaphor because you got me hyped for it again.
Yeah.
I forgot how much fun I had with that game.
Well, it's such different styles of the same type of game, right? Where you have a lot of choices in metaphor as well. But it's like the Japanese style of this versus the Western style, and it's really kind of a cool contrast actually to experience at the same time. It's very interesting. But yeah, man, if you end up playing Baldur's Gate 3, we'll totally do like a spoiler discussion on it as well. I mean, there's going to be so many things to fucking talk about, but that probably gonna end up being like 4 hours. But yeah, I'm totally down for that too. So all right, anything else you want to say on Baldur's Gate?
Nope, that's it.
All right, let's get into the fucking news. 2 hours into the goddamn show. I told you we knew this was going to be a long one after 2 weeks, but all right, we got some interesting stories though in this 2 week period. So we got a report from Bloomberg that has basically confirmed that Sony's developing a full handheld device. And we had a rumor about this last year, I believe, from Moore's Law is Dead, the YouTube channel. But this is pretty strict confirmation that this is happening. And the report does detail a couple things. So from the Bloomberg report, quote, Sony's portable device is likely years away from launch, and the company could still decide against bringing it to market. The people said, asking not to be named, discussing private plans. There was also some details about what this thing would be. So it would be a standalone PlayStation handheld. However, it would integrate with your PlayStation 5 fully. So it would play your PS5 library, potentially. It would not be a standalone handheld like a Vita or a PSP where it has its own library. It would hook in the way the Steam Deck does with your Steam library. They're not sure though what power level they want to go with yet, whether they want it to be a PS5 level of power or a PS6 level of power, given how long this development cycle appears to be, and how far out we are. That seems to still be up in the air right now. But yeah, man, full Sony handheld. I mean, we know Microsoft's already said they're working on one. And obviously Nintendo has theirs with the Switch, and then we've got the Steam Deck with Valve. So how does this strike you, Montrell, the re-emergence of handhelds?
To be honest with you, I'm glad it's coming back. I've been the type of person now that I'm like, I don't like sitting in front of my couch all the time, if that makes any sense. Or sitting in front of my couch, sitting in my couch in front of my TV all the time. It would be really cool if I can like go hiking or something, then like pull out my PlayStation Portable on my break, on my 10-minute break from hiking 5 miles or something like that, and just play a game real quick, and then keep hiking or whatever. Because ultimately, like, and this is going to sound really stupid. Like the only reason sometimes I stop hiking is like, all right, I've been thinking about this game I want to play when I get home, and I really want to play it. Like, whereas if somebody who's like watching, who's like having a book or something like that, or even like their their hobby is watching TV shows, they can
Yeah.
have that on the go. I can't really have that on the go unless I'm like, want to play a fucking gotcha game on my goddamn cell phone or something like that,
Yeah.
or the Switch. And I mean, there's not really anything I want to play on the Switch right now, unfortunately. So I really want like a PlayStation Portable or an Xbox Portable. Um, and Steam Deck is that answer for me, to be honest with you.
Right.
But there are certain PlayStation games that are not available on the Steam Deck that I want to play,
Right.
or that I've started on PlayStation and I don't want to play it on my Steam Deck because I don't want to start all over again. So I think this is be really cool. I think it's a market that needs to happen. I think people are on the go a lot more now than ever. In my opinion, I think the era of COVID is over, officially over. Not the disease or not the sickness, but like the actual mentality of COVID. I think it's officially over because like everybody's moving and shaking and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think the key thing is that it integrates with your PlayStation library. That's like a key feature they seem to be dead set on for sure.
Yeah.
Is super important. I think if they try to make this thing standalone, it's dead on arrival. Like I don't think that is a viable strategy anymore at all for any of
Oh,
these companies.
100%. Yeah.
If you're gonna make a device like this, it has got to play my existing PlayStation library, on a handheld. And frankly, this is actually one of the big driving reasons that I have embraced the PS5 Pro and the digital aspect of it and getting rid of the disk drive, is because I have believed this device has been coming for a long time. And I'm not going to be able to play my disc-based games on it. So at
Mm,
that point, I might as I like I just I'm unfortunately, for the convenience of the way I play games, I love playing games on handheld. And if I could play full PS5 games on a fucking handheld, dude, I'm fucking there, man. Like, I love the Steam Deck. This thing's awesome. And if I could play like PlayStation exclusives like fucking God of War or something, on which you can do that now, by the way. I mean, they're on PC now, so you can do that. But I mean, like day and date, whenever a new PlayStation exclusive comes out, I can just play it on a handheld as well as on my TV. And with the cloud save functionality, I just upload the save to the cloud, get it from on my console, and I'm playing the same save, and you just continue from where you left off. Like, dude, that is so good. And the way the Steam Deck does it it's excellent. It's so seamless. So I think that's such a key thing for this. It is interesting though that they're kind of playing around with the power aspect of it, because I would imagine you really don't want this thing to cost as much as the console, realistically, whatever that's going to look like. And obviously with the PS5 Pro, you've got that cost at 700, but the normal console is 450, I think. The Slim right now, and I think it went down to like 380 on Black Friday. Somewhere around there. So you don't really want, I don't know if you want this device to cost $500 or $600. Maybe you do that though and it works out fine. It's not a big deal, but that is kind of a steep asking price for what is essentially an add-on to your console. We've seen that with the PSVR, but I will say that this thing has much more practical use than a PSVR does, though. Um,
yeah.
where it can play all your games. So I don't know. That'll be an interesting thing to see. But with the way games scale though nowadays and how scalable they've become, I don't think you necessarily need PS6 level of power to future proof this thing for a long time.
Yeah.
You could probably get away with the lower power threshold for at least a few years into the PS6's lifespan. So we'll see, because I am starting to think that kind of generational line is definitely blurring a lot more nowadays, because the jumps are not as significant between consoles, or they're really not going to be going forward. It's not going to feel that significant, I guess I should say. Whereas I think with PS6, when PS6 comes out, I think PS5 is going to be around for a long time after that. Because I mean, dude, we're 4 years in with PS5, and PS4 is still a huge part of Sony's business. Like, it was just very recently, like 6 months ago, that there's more monthly active users on PS5 than PS4. So it's not like PS4 is totally dead, and they're still releasing games on PS4.
Yeah,
And I
exactly.
don't think that it has had as negative of an impact as we felt like it would. I think the games that are releasing cross gen, like Horizon and God of War, they look excellent on PS5. The companies are making, they're not letting the PS4 hold them back, from making the best looking game they can necessarily. So, given that, I don't think it's a huge deal. And I think they could get away with a lower powered device potentially if they want to kind of have it be affordable for people. So, I don't know. I'm excited about this thing, man. This is what I've always wanted. It's like, and Valve. It's funny that Valve was the one that really proved the concept. Obviously, Nintendo proved that handhelds could work and they could be hybrid in some way. But the aspect that Valve really proved was that you could have two different devices that use the same library. And that part of it was something that I think was a huge hurdle that kind of unlocked something for Microsoft and Sony, where they were like, oh shit, yeah, we could do that for our players. That's a great idea, where they could take their library with them anywhere they go. And that's going to be a huge boon for me personally. Like I'm like you were saying, like, dude, when I go on trips, like for work or something, or vacation, I generally speaking hate the plane ride, because it's like, man, I really just want to be playing what I was playing. I don't want to
Yeah,
leave for a week and I have to take a break from whatever console game I was playing. It's like, that kind of sucks. It's like, I'd love to be able to just take it with me and continue playing it, on the plane, or in the hotel room or whatever. So, um, this will be probably a day one purchase for me personally because of that. So, we'll see. But they did say a few years away, so I would guess probably 2026 or 2027 at the earliest. I mean, it sounds like, it doesn't sound like they're super far along, but it is interesting though. I heard Moore's Law is Dead talk about this. He said that Sony's actually ahead in their dev cycle for this, is further ahead than Microsoft is with theirs, which I can't understand how that's true. That's crazy.
because Microsoft they're fucking idiots, man. Like,
Yeah, they're just floundering, it feels like. So, um but yeah, this is exciting. Anything else you want to say on it?
um, yeah, no, I was gonna say maybe it should have some kind of docking feature, but I'm like, it doesn't need a dock. The PS5 is a dock, so yeah.
I just say an HDMI
um,
port. Just let it plug into a TV.
yeah, okay, that's
Yeah,
actually better. Like, or or it could maybe have like a dock for extra, like for a couple extra dollars. You can get a dock or whatever that kind of makes it high power, and you can play it with
yeah,
like a PS5 controller via Bluetooth or something like that.
mm-hmm.
While you're out, like
Yeah,
while you're at a hotel room, you have to bring your entire PS5, but you can bring this little setup with you, or whatever
right.
the case may be. It runs a little bit better on power and stuff like that. I don't know. I just really think the world needs another PS Vita or PSP. I think what really people really want was the PS Vita wasn't the PSP that people wanted.
Yeah,
Well, it was, but it wasn't because Sony didn't treat it like it was. I thought it was very cool when you can play certain games like Marvel's Capcom 3 on the Vita or whatever the case may be.
yeah,
And it looked just like Marvel vs. Capcom on console, just a low res scale, a low res version of it. But yeah, um, I think handhelds do have a place, and I don't think they're going to be. I think Nintendo actually showed like it won't be going anywhere for a while. So yeah, that's all I got.
yeah. Okay, fair enough. All right, moving on. Following up on our story last week about the potential Katakawa acquisition by Sony. Um, there was a Bloomberg article on this as well. Um, Basically, kind of confirming that this has been in the works for a few years, actually, between Katakawa and Sony. and that the big sticking point has been that Sony does not want all of Katakawa. They just want parts of them. So they want specific IPs and companies that are underneath them. And that has been the main issue. So it seems like they've maybe overcome that barrier somehow. So either Sony's going to purchase the whole thing, or Katakawa is now um, interested in selling for parts in some way, which is interesting. So, but I wanted to bring this back up though for this, obviously for this reporting, but also to talk about. We didn't really talk about this from this angle last week. This is kind of a really important aspect to this. Is Katakawa is a huge publishing house for manga and anime, and that
Mm.
is actually probably more what Sony wants this for, because they have become an absolute fucking powerhouse in the anime manga space in the last several years. Because yeah, they purchased Crunchyroll, they purchased Funimation, and this would be just another one of those acquisitions for them to kind of consolidate their power there in that industry. So that's kind of a huge aspect to this as well. But I do think FromSoft is a huge component as well. I think Sony would absolutely would love to have FromSoft underneath, under their umbrella for sure. But yeah, I think that the anime aspect is something we didn't really touch on.
Yeah, I mean it is very interesting. I think it's a good move from Sony. Um, Not only will you be owning these IPs and everything of that nature for it, um, I feel like you have a good sized Japanese audience,
Mhm.
and your audience in Sony as well. People who were when the whole Xbox versus PlayStation thing was going like really popular. It was mainly people who played PlayStation game, who was on the PlayStation side, who was a little bit more diverse in their gaming. So they did play those JRPGs, those anime games, and like Madden and the shooters and stuff like that. So you're getting that aspect of it too from those people that already dabble in that side of media, and you're like consolidated all in one side. So they're actually really playing to that Eastern angle, uh, very well in my opinion.
Yeah, yeah, and I think this would be a huge deal for Sony. I think this would be a much better acquisition than Bungie for a similar amount of money. Um,
Yeah, I can't believe they did that shit.
yeah, and this is much more in their wheelhouse too. Part of the reporting, they kind of implied this. They didn't really say it outright, but Bloomberg kind of implies that Katakawa has had a lot of suitors over the years that are outside of Japan, like Tencent and Microsoft. Have expressed interest in them as well, and that they may be leaning towards Sony because they want to keep everything they have within Japan. So which is kind of an interesting wrinkle potentially, but they didn't really say that outright, but it is kind of implied in some of the reporting they were doing. So so that's kind of an interesting component as well. But if this happens, I mean, obviously we will certainly cover it on the show. It will be very, very big news. Montreal, I guess one question for you: if Sony does this acquisition and they fully acquire FromSoft, or at least the controlling enough, the 84% they would have if they acquired Katakawa, do you think they would make From's games PlayStation exclusive?
100%.
You do. Interesting.
Well, no, I'm gonna take that back. I'll say 60%.
Okay.
If you make it exclusive, you are missing out on potential revenue from PC. I mean, From does get a substantial amount of money from PC,
Yeah.
and they get a substantial amount of money from Xbox as well. I
Yeah.
think they do really well on all consoles, which is probably why Bloodborne didn't sell as well because it wasn't available on all consoles.
Right.
It was exclusive for PlayStation. So I actually think they will leave From Software alone as far as from a money standpoint. Like it wouldn't make any sense. Now, if the company saw that there was some kind of value to get even more consoles, then I mean, yeah, that'll probably be the nail in the coffin for Xbox because I would if I'm a Front Software fan and I play Xbox, like I'm just gonna get a PlayStation now at this point.
Yeah. Yeah, it would be a huge move, but I don't think they would do it, frankly. I just think there's too much money on the table. This is like COD, like FromSoft is at that level at this point, like Like Elden Ring sold like fucking 30 million copies, dude. You know, it's like,
Yeah.
why are you gonna say no to that level of money? You know, you might as well just let it be everywhere. So what I think they would do is more likely is that they would go to From and ask them to make a PlayStation exclusive game, you know, like a Bloodborne 2 or something like that, as like one of their secondary projects, you know. I could see them doing that, but um, you know, the full exclusivity, that seems a bit much to me personally. But this kind of transitioned into our next story, talking about Bloodborne. So Sony released the 30th anniversary trailer, with a bunch of games from their history, and every single little clip had a word that it was associated with, where they were like, oh, it's about adventure, which was like Uncharted they showed, or it's about legends, and they showed like Tomb Raider and Lara Croft. And then at the very end, though, they showed a clip of Bloodborne, and it said it's about persistence, and that was the last thing they showed, you know. And then it went into the end of the trailer, and the Bloodborne community has, of course, lost their mind about this. They are taking this as like a, you know, they think something's happening with Bloodborne, you know, and everybody's like super fucking excited. And I mean, Macho, what do you take this as? Is this just cope? Are they coping?
Man, yeah, because I can take the persistence thing as a whole thing, right? You can say persistence is that Bloodborne is technically a hard game or whatever, and you
Yeah.
have to be persistent to get through the game,
Yep.
and it takes persistence to get through a Souls game, even though they already had where it says, you know, everybody, it takes a soul or whatever, and they showed Dark Souls or whatever, or maybe it was Demon Souls they showed. Um,
Hmm.
so I mean, I can take it that way, or I can take it like, you know, they are gonna do something with Bloodborne. Because then I saw people saying like, "Hey, that Bloodborne, you know, snippet there looked like a different version of Bloodborne. Did y'all see that?" And I'm like, "Oh my god, this is
Yeah.
this has to stop."
It's too much, bro.
You know, as a fellow ex copian, or ex drug addict from copianism, or cope, the drug cope, uh Xenoblade Chronicles X, we thought we would never get that game. And it took me and Justin to stop huffing the copium, to just wake up on a random Tuesday morning.
Yeah. You're right.
And it was
Dude, I hadn't thought about it in a couple years, probably, you know, and then it just happened out
actually
of
that
nowhere.
morning you thought about it.
That is
Right?
true. No, that is true. Yeah. No, that is true. I did, and didn't realize that trailer was the real trailer. It
so
was just funny as
so
hell.
so take it from somebody who's you know, ex addict of copium, recovering copium addict. Guys, you gotta let it go. And when it comes out, you'll be more appreciative, or maybe you just don't give a fuck anymore. I
Yeah.
think both are good. You know, like, just let it go, y'all. Obviously there's some kind of licensing or something. Sony is holding on to this IP for some fucking reason. We don't know what it is at this point. We've had every discussion about it. We thought it was licensing. We thought it was like From Software saying, fuck you, Sony, we don't want to do it anymore. We thought it was Sony saying, fuck you, From Software, we don't want you to do it anymore. We
Yeah.
thought all this shit, and like none of it's true. It's
Yeah.
just, maybe it's not, maybe it's really a thing that it's not on their radar, and they just don't know that.
Or they just don't think it's worth the time. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Well,
So
two
I don't
things
know.
for me on this. I'm gonna add to the supply of copium. So two things on this. One is what we just talked about. If Sony acquires Katakawa, all barriers are gone at that point, right? I mean, they own From, they can tell From what to do. Whatever agreement they had back when Bloodborne was made, at that point would be null and void, I would think, right? So it wouldn't matter.
Yeah.
They'd just be able to do whatever they want. So that's one thing. The second is that Bloodborne is coming up on its 10-year anniversary in March.
Mm.
And that is a notable year threshold potentially for a contract. You know, there could be some contract that lasts about 10 years, you know, potentially for them. or exactly 10 years rather, because we saw this with Death Stranding, is when Death Stranding hit its 5-year mark of being released, it immediately came out on Xbox, like the day of the 5-year anniversary, you know?
Wait, so
So
Bloodborne's 10 years old?
yeah, it was 2015, dude. March 2015.
Oh, holy
We're
fuck,
old.
we're
We're old
old.
as fuck, man.
Oh
I
my
mean, what?
god, dude.
Yeah,
Are you
dude.
serious? I'm still
Yes.
thinking this game's like 4 to 5 years old,
Nope.
dude. What the
It's
fuck,
super
man?
old, man. It's this old ass game. I mean, look at the video. It looks like shit. Like it doesn't even look good anymore. You know? Like it doesn't. Like, I mean, seriously, it needs some touch-up work done for sure. At this point. So it's so those are my two thoughts, is like maybe there is some reason to huff some copium potentially, but we got the Game Awards coming next week. Maybe they'll announce something there, you know. You never know, man. Like there could be something. Who knows? I'm with you though. Ultimately, like if I were really chomping at the bit for this, like stop frothing at the mouth about it. Like just forget about it, man. And one day you're gonna wake up. It's gonna be 2027, and they'll announce a Bloodborne remaster coming out or something. You know, it's
Uh,
like
okay. Damn, maybe you're right. Hold on. When is this game releasing? Next year. Okay. Damn, man. You know, fucking Xenoblade's gonna turn 10 next year. Xenoblade Chronicles X.
yeah, that would be in December though.
Oh, you're right.
It originally came out in December.
Okay,
I don't think
never
that one has
mind.
anything to do with that. I think Nintendo just didn't care for the longest time, and they've run out of Xenoblade games to remaster, so they're like, all right, I guess we'll do X, you know.
I mean, it is the 10th year. It is the 10th year, though.
No, now I'm huffing copium with that, is that they're gonna make a Xenoblade Chronicles X too, you know.
Okay, you're huffing a lot of copium right now. No, man, that's not
Blurred
happening.
lines, yeah, man. You know,
That's not. You know, be okay. The closest we'll get is they announce because Xenoblade Chronicles 3 is 2 years old at this point, right?
Yep.
Okay, they announce Xenoblade Chronicles 4 and then they connect all 4 games.
Yeah, I could see that. I don't want them to do that though. I kind of like
I don't
X
either.
being in its own universe personally. You know.
Yeah, but I think Avis is in Chronicles X, right?
You know,
Elvis?
I vaguely
Avis?
remember him being somewhere in there, and I was like, what the fuck are we doing, man? It wasn't like they didn't say it was him, but it was his voice. I remember his voice,
Yeah, it was his voice
popping up somewhere.
Yeah.
And I don't remember. I'm trying to think. I think it was an alternate, not an alternate reality necessarily, but it was because remember in the original Xenoblade Chronicles, and I'm about to spoil the game somewhat, so skip forward like 30 seconds. But you remember Alvis originally was a scientist on a space station orbiting Earth. So
That was
I
getting
want to
attacked by
say,
aliens.
I want to say X is like what happened outside of the universe that he created with
it was so it's like an Andromeda thing.
Yeah, it's kind of what happened in the real world, you know. That's what I think it is, but I'm not 100%. I don't remember the game well enough to know like how confirmed that is or not. So.
Well, I know in X you are getting chased by not chased. Yeah, you are. You're getting chased by aliens that attack Earth.
Well, yeah, the Earth gets destroyed at the beginning of the
Yeah.
game. Yeah. And that's the whole game. You like humanity's like trying to run away and reestablish itself somewhere. So
Yeah, so I'm telling you, man, Xenoblade Chronicles 4 is going to be X, or it's going to be X2. Yeah, maybe. You know what? I agree with you now. Maybe there will be. I don't think it's coming anytime soon, by the way. No time soon.
I got Montrell. Yeah, baby, come over here. Start sniffing them lines. Let's go. I got him.
I'm not snorting as much this time.
Okay.
I think it's like it's like 5 or 6 years. Yeah, just like half.
Let me get the credit card out to like separate it for you. There you go.
Yeah, I think it's like 5 years out, 5 or 6 years out. I don't think they're gonna announce like in December. Oh, Xenoblade Chronicles X2. They do. Jumping off a building.
We're done,
being happy.
Dude, we're done. Like that episode is this going to be us screaming into a mic for 45 minutes straight? You know, like get ready for that. All right. Well, Bloodborne fans, I just say be patient. You know, I do think you're going to get this
Oh
game
yeah,
in some
you're
form
definitely a
at some
Bloodborne
point.
too. Yeah,
It's
you're
it's
definitely getting a
gonna
Bloodborne
happen.
too.
Like I don't think Sony is gonna ignore this forever. I think there's a specific reason why we don't know what it is, and it's really frustrating. But I don't think it's because Sony's not interested. I really do think there's some specific contractual reason that is preventing both parties from working on the game for some reason. So
Oh my god, I just thought of something. Maybe I
yo,
think I already said this. What if they're working on like a TV show?
Bloodborne TV show. What would
Yeah,
it
they
be?
would have
What the
released
fuck
it.
would it even be?
They would have released it with the TV show like they did The Last of Us.
No, my god, no, fuck that, man. There's no way. Like, what would the story even be? Like,
I mean, it does have a story. I
yeah,
think
but
it's an interesting.
it's not like character driven though. It's
Yeah, I mean,
I
you
don't
would just
know.
make a random hunter up. Like, I mean, your hunter could just be a random guy.
Just be a
And
show
you just,
where it's like Monster of the Week type show every week. Like
yeah, yeah.
it's a serialized.
It can. You have you ever watched um Supernatural? It can be like a supernaturalist show,
Yeah,
or like
or like
X
Grimm. You
Files or
ever
something.
watch Grimm?
Yeah, Grimm. I was just about to say Grimm. I didn't want to say Grimm
Yeah.
because not too many people watch Grimm. Wow,
Oh my god,
you're
that
cultured.
show is so
You're
fucking
cultured.
good. Oh, it's dude, bro. Okay, I was gonna mention it earlier because that show you were talking about from kind of has some similar aesthetic to Grimm in some ways. With it, and I was like, I don't know, has Montrell watched Grimm? I feel like he would really like that show because some of the fight choreography in Grimm is fucking fire for no goddamn reason. Like it's insane. I remember so like there's an episode in season 1 at the end of season 1 where he's fighting like two reapers at the same time, like two guys who literally have scythes, and they like attack him at the same time, and he jumps in the air and does like the side spin between the scythes, and it's like the most ridiculous badass fucking thing for no fucking reason. Like I don't know why the show went so hard, but yeah, Grimm fucking rules. But yeah, so I don't know. There's no TV show for Bloodborne. Let's not get people going crazy. All right, man. Like
I'm telling you, I I have a weird feeling. I'm sorry. I have a weird feeling that this is what they're doing, man. You remember we read the article like a couple of months ago that they're looking for more TV shows to make out of their IPs.
yeah.
I really think
Yeah, but Bloodborne's not the place you're gonna go for that. Come on.
it has the aesthetic, man. That aesthetic is pretty cool.
Oh my god.
It has the
be
vampire
a-
hunter aesthetic.
It'd be a meme factory. I'm gonna be honest. Like I think it would just be a meme factory.
I mean, it probably would. It'd probably be the Morbius of TV shows, but like, it has it. I can see it. I can see them getting a terrible writing staff, a terrible director, and it just looks like shit, and they just go with it.
Yeah.
And then they kill the franchise for good, and you're never getting your Bloodborne. But I can definitely see it.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't see it. All right, let's
I don't
move
wish
on.
that. I don't wish that on you guys, by the way. But I'm just saying.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, exactly. That's true. All right, let's move on. Montreal. I'm actually gonna move the next story further down, because I forgot it relates to one of the articles later. So, so I'm skipping over that. We're gonna talk about Light of Motiram or Motiram. I don't know how to say this.
Oh my god, dude!
Which got
When I sent
announced this week. Yeah.
Yeah, you can describe it to people.
Yeah, let me describe it real quick. So it is a game from Tencent. They are announcing it's from their subsidiary, sorry, Polaris Quest, a Tencent subsidiary. They announced Light of Motiram, which is a free-to-play survivor game where nature meets machine, and they have a screenshot of a character in what I can only describe as tribal attire, like native tribal attire, with a bow and a bunch of machine-looking animals in the distance looking over this giant valley. And it looked conspicuously similar to Horizon Forbidden West's main kind of marketing screenshot. And yeah, it looks fucking exactly like Horizon. It is insane. So Montrell, go ahead.
Yeah, bro, I couldn't believe this when I saw this. How far does it have to go? Like, what do you have to prove into court? Like, this was so bad, y'all, that I thought, I'm like, the first thing that came to my mind was lawsuit, and I don't like going to lawsuits because
Yeah.
similar games look similar to other games, and that's just like games. But this was so blatant. Like, even from the poster, from the reveal trailer, like the only thing that's different, in my opinion, is the combat and like the base building and stuff like that. The actual gameplay is different, in my opinion. It's more
Yeah,
Monster Hunter-ish.
I haven't even actually watched the trailer. I'm doing it right now.
Yeah,
So keep going.
it's more Monster Hunter-ish meets like, you know, a base building.
Why is
game.
there a Destiny ghost though in here?
Oh, it has a Destiny ghost?
Yeah, it's at the beginning of the trailer.
Speaking of that, I'm sorry. Can I add one more story? But yeah, I don't know, bro. Like, this game is a 1-for-1 ripoff of Horizon, bro. Like the aesthetics.
God, it really is. Holy shit, dude! I'm watching this right now, dude. It's like indistinguishable almost. Like, this is crazy. Holy shit! Oh my god, what the fuck? Like, even seeing some of these other characters.
Yeah, like once you get to the gameplay, it looks different. Like the way they do the gameplay, but they have a bow and arrow class in there, and it's just alloy.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know, man. Like, oops, hold on. I'm sorry. Don't look at that. Look at this one,
dude.
But yeah. So I don't know what the fuck is going on over there in China, man. Like, I understand like they're inspired by a lot of games, but like this is like crazy to me. Like, I don't know.
I think
man.
I don't know. Is it maybe this is like a cultural thing in China? Like, maybe this is how they interpret being inspired by something, you know?
That's a good point.
Is like, because it feels like this happens all too often with Chinese stuff, and you know, people look at it as more like nefarious and intentional, but maybe it's not. Maybe this is just how they interpret being inspired by something, is you kind of almost copy it for the most part, because it's like, it's uncanny with this game. Like, it fucking the robots just look like Horizon robots. Like, when you look at them closely, you can tell there's some differences, but it's not, you really need to look at them closely. Like, it's pretty like, dude, they even have the same like canister type things coming off their torsos and stuff. Like, it's really similar. Like, it's crazy. I would imagine anybody working at Gorilla who saw this the other day was like, what in the flying fuck is this? You know, like, what is going on here? You know? But the thing is,
I'm surprised they haven't really said anything. But like,
they can't. They're not gonna win. You can't. Like, dude, this is a look and feel argument, which you're just not gonna win. Like, you can copy the look and feel of some, not copy. It's literally comes down to, though, like, did they steal assets? Like, that would be what they would have to do for Sony to win. You know, it's like, you're really not gonna win a court case when you're saying somebody copied your look and feel of something. You know, it just. This was like back in I think it was in the 80s. You know, Microsoft copied Mac OS for Windows, you know, basically, and Apple sued them and they lost. Like, the court said, like, that you cannot copy look and feel of something, you know, necessarily, and that was a precedent that's been set, and that's kind of how this always goes as a result. I will say, I'm looking at the gameplay now. You are right. It definitely looks a little different from Horizon. I will actually say the melee combat looks better than Horizon, exactly. Which is hilarious to say. But you know, I don't know. We'll see. There seems to be more weapon types available actually than Horizon as well. For sure. That's
what I said. It's like a mix between Horizon and like Monster Hunter, and then like a base building game, like you know, Fortnite or whatever the case may be. Yeah, the original Fortnite. So I don't know. I mean, I don't want to push us into another one, but look at this. Look at the this is from NetEase. And I really want you to look at this trailer. Now that we're talking about like Chinese and everything like that, in the copying thing, like look at this game from from NetEase called Project Mugen or Anata. It's only
Ananta?
a
Yeah.
yeah, it's only like a 2 minute trailer, so it's not that long.
Wait a
But
second.
what well, we already saw this be revealed before, but they didn't show a lot of it. But
Yeah.
now they're showing like a lot of it now. So for everybody that doesn't know, while Justin's watching it, I'll talk about it a little bit. Um, we saw this trailer either at the Game Awards last year or some kind of awards. We saw this trailer. Um, but yeah, it was called Project Mugen or Mugen.
Dude.
But now it has a fucking name called Anata or Ananta. It's made by NetEase. And I believe NetEase games are they Japanese, right? Or they're Chinese, right?
They're Chinese.
They're Chinese, yeah. So
Dude, this looks like a
uh,
Hoyoverse game.
it does. It looks like a Hoyoverse game. It looks like a Spider-Man game. It looks like a GTA game, and it has basketball in it as well. You can play basketball.
I
So
see
it's
that.
also
Well,
2K.
it's reminding me of Zenless Zone Zero though, more than anything in terms of the animation
Yeah,
and stuff. But oh my
yeah,
god, I
and
just saw the Spider-Man part. What the fuck? What is
no,
that?
it's even more. It's even more. I'm looking. Keep going.
What the
Yeah,
fuck?
they have like the My Park from 2K where you can go to different parks and play
Yeah,
basketball. You can
see the
shoot.
GTA
You
GTA
see,
like car chase. Yeah.
yeah, GTA car chase. Then it's the Spider-Man swinging, and then like the NetEase, or I'm sorry, the Zen Zoneless combat that they have, the animations and the character,
Yes.
and actually
Yeah.
the style of the game is actually like that. Reminds me of that too.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's just like, and then
I
they
don't think
have
this is nearly as bad though, to be honest, as the one we were just talking about, Light of Motoram or Motiram, whatever.
then they got the
Uh
stealth sections of fucking Spider-Man.
like I would call this much more of an inspiration. It's not like aesthetically doesn't look like those games really.
Yeah,
The
that's true.
closest thing it looks like is a Hoyoverse game for sure, but that's just kind of art styling and animation, I'd say.
Yeah,
Like to be honest, I'm looking at this like it actually looks kind of fun.
I know, right?
I'm sitting here like, oh shit, this game looks pretty good, dude. Like I might check this out. So I don't know. I mean, they didn't give like a release date or anything like that, but
Yeah.
yeah, Hoyoverse better watch out, man. Like they're on notice, I feel like.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I didn't think about it because I mean, if you think about Wukong, there are like 20 billion versions of Wukong, and I'm pretty sure there's 20 billion versions of Wukong in China as well.
Yeah.
And maybe they just take that as like, you know, copying or not copying, but like, you know how they say plagiarism is the sincerest form of flattery, or like the most something along the lines of flattery or whatever, or complimenting someone. Maybe they just take that to the extreme, like you said, in their culture or whatever. I don't know, but it's not just um this light of Moham game, but it's like other games and other stuff that they do it as well.
Well,
So
I see the
I don't know,
top
man.
comment here. GTA, Genshin, NBA 2K, Spider-Man, Dead or Alive Volleyball. How many game references did you guys see in this game? The first person said yes. Oh man. I mean, I see these things. I just don't think it's as egregious as what we're seeing with this Horizon ripoff. Like it's yeah, sure, they're like references to those games, but they don't look like those games necessarily. Like, I
Yeah,
mean,
that's true.
people steal gameplay elements from each other all the fucking time. That is totally normal. That happens with every fucking game, you know? So I don't have as much of an issue with that as much as like where you're literally stealing a concept. Like they literally are taking the concept that like Guerrilla created with Horizon and just making their own version of it that looks very similar to it aesthetically and gameplay wise. You know, it's like that's where you're like getting into really crazy territory. Like I feel like this is worse than Pal World, and Pal World's pretty bad, you know. At least with Pal World you could argue that the gameplay is not anything close to what Pokemon is, right?
Yeah, they
But
just took the. I mean, you can say they did take the Pokemon aesthetic like really hard, but you can
yeah,
argue like there are monster games everywhere. You got Monster Rancher, you got fucking Digimon, you got fucking uh yokai or is it called Ghostwatch? Detective Yokai?
Uh, Yokai Watch.
Yokai Watch. You got
Yeah.
Yokai Watch and stuff like that. So I mean, those are monster games. But they aesthetically don't look like Pokemon.
Right.
Um,
Right.
and even when we were seeing Power World, we didn't have as much of a jarring reaction to it. If that makes any sense, it was more like a funny reaction. Whereas like Light Motoram is like, dude, even the character they're using, because you can make your own character, y'all, in this game. The
Yeah.
character they're using is a redhead that looks just like an anime
Aloy,
version of
yeah.
fucking Aloy. So it's like I don't know how they're getting away with this.
Yeah. I don't either. I don't know. I definitely think when you see, like, if you work at Gorilla and you've worked on the last two Horizons games and you were part of making that franchise, like, you woke up and saw this trailer and you were like, what the fuck? You know? Like, I would be a little pissed probably. But I'm looking at this Ananta trailer though, and on the sidebar there's a reaction video where it says Ananta is the best new gotcha, and it's a guy looking at the trailer, and it has like the busty character, and he's got an arrow pointing at it, and then there's his face, and he's just like, oh, like I hate this thumbnail culture we have right now with fucking YouTube. It has gotten so absurd with this stuff. Like, it's just, I don't know, but
So they
yeah.
actually
Oh,
released 20 minutes of gameplay of Light of
okay.
Moham.
Yeah.
I put it in the chat if you want to look at it later. But yeah,
Yeah, I'll probably check it out later.
it though, dude. Oh my god, this is like a Souls game.
Really?
The combat is Souls like, and I hate using that term, but it's literally like
Yeah.
Souls like. And then you can mine, and then fish, and then gather materials, and then make a fucking encampment. It's Ark, but
Yeah.
you know Horizon meets fucking Dark Souls meets fucking Ark. So yeah, guys,
Okay.
there it is.
I mean, I don't know. This game's on my radar now. I'll pay attention to it probably. I don't know. I need to stay away from the free to play gotcha games. Like, dude, Infinity Nikki, I think is out now, and I'm like, I can't play these games. I need to not like even look at them, because people like that game a lot. It seems like it's pretty good, but um, probably not for us. It is a dress up game. But I don't know. It still sounds like a fun, like, just jump in for 20 hours and see what it's about. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see with this one. No release window or anything like that, so it seems like it's still a little bit far off in terms of when it's coming out. But Light of Motoram is the same thing. I hate this game's name. I hate saying it. I never want to say it again. All right, let's move on to our next story. Is coming from PlayStation. Shuhei Yoshida, who's worked at Sony for 31 years, uh, and he is a OG PlayStation guy. He was one of the first. He is labeled as the first non-technical person to be brought into the PlayStation team 31 years ago. So he was brought onto the team when it was still a team. It wasn't like a complete sub division of Sony. Like, it was just kind of a team of people. He was brought
Mhm.
in when at that point when Ken Kutaragi was heading the ship at that point in time. And Shuhei's been around for a long time. He was the I believe the president of PlayStation Studios. Yeah, he was president of SIE Worldwide Studios from 2008 to 2019 for 11 years, which is frankly one of the best periods of Sony's kind of output from a first party perspective in their entire history. And he's frankly responsible for, in terms of green lighting, a ton of the series that we know now: Last of Us, Uncharted games, the new God of War, Horizon. I mean, all this stuff, Ghost of Tsushima. All these games. So I mean, he was a huge figure within PlayStation, and he is the one in the iconic video from 2013 where Sony was like, where he was like, "This is how you share games on PlayStation," and he handed a game to Adam Boyes on camera, and that was it. That was the thing, and that he's the one from that iconic video. Um, so yeah, Shuhei's. I mean, he's a big figure. This is actually to me a big loss for Sony. I don't think he's really been doing a whole lot the last few years since 2019. He's been like kind of relegated. It feels like they gave him a window facing job, even though it's not really one. Where he was kind of the indie guy for PlayStation, where he was kind of going around to various conventions, meeting with studios and in teams, trying to see what indie games might be worth investing in for Sony, and worth marketing and whatnot, etc. So he's been in that role for a while, and he has said that he loves that. He loves working with indie studios, and he may continue to do that going forward somewhere else. But yeah, so he's leaving in January. January 15th, 2025, will be his last day at Sony, and yeah, it's a big loss, Montrell.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know he was with Sony for that long. Holy shit.
Yeah, man,
Um,
he's an OG.
is that going to be like the last of the Sony, like the original Sony team?
I think so. I don't think there's anybody else really still around.
Yeah, it's going to be a very different Sony going forward. Um,
Yeah. I mean,
and I don't want to say,
I think we've been in it for a few years now.
yeah, that's true.
Um Basically since Jim Ryan took over, I would say we've been in a different Sony for sure. There was a
Yeah.
very stark shift at that point when Shuhei stepped down, or was not stepped down, but was uh, pushed into this role he's been in since 2019.
Mhm.
I feel like at that point Sony shifted a lot because, dude, if you remember, late PS3 generation and then into most of the PS4, Sony was very like PlayStation was very personality driven with their executives. These were names that you knew, like these guys would be like you would see them a lot,
Yeah.
Jack Tretton, Adam Boyes, Gio Corsi, Shuhei, and there was a few Andrew House. There was I remember all these names because these guys were out and about talking, like they were talking the way Phil talks now with Microsoft. They were very public and vocal, and they talked to the media a lot. And they were very personality driven. I feel like as a platform, and that was I think a huge reason for their turnaround in the PS3 generation actually was because of that change in approach. And basically, I'd say since the back half of the PS4 generation, they shifted completely away from that now. Like they're not personality driven at all. They don't talk to anybody. Like we see Herman Holst every once in a while, and it's like that's really it. Like, do you know any other PlayStation executives? Not really.
No, I don't
Um,
actually. No.
so, so I think that's been a mistake. I don't think that's a great thing for Sony, but I mean, it doesn't seem to have mattered. It's still working for them. They're still dominating, um, but yeah, I do kind of miss some of this. Like Shuhei, is a really funny guy. Actually, if you listen to him speak, he used to be, back in the day on Podcast Beyond, like way long time ago. In IGN, like I'm talking 10 or 15 years ago. He used to do interviews with them at E3 every year, and he was super it felt like he was really candid, like he wouldn't really shy away from any questions they asked, but he never really gave them any big information or either. Somehow he was really good at that, but he was also really good at just making it feel like a very personal conversation. And truth be told too, he's a gamer, like he's a hardcore gamer, dude. Like he plays games, like he's talked about platinuming like crazy shit, like really hard platinums to get before. So I mean, that's why it's kind of a bummer that he got relegated, because it's like I feel like he still could be a very important figure, and would give them a lot of cachet with gaming audiences. But wherever he ends up, I think will be it'll be a good for whoever that is. So
Yeah, I agree. So is he leaving gaming for good, or is he just like
no,
retiring from Sony?
no, he's just leaving Sony.
Okay.
He's not retiring at all. He's planning on doing something else. He just hasn't announced what that is yet. So, if he has anything lined up at all, he might not yet. But yeah. So we'll see. All right. moving on. Next story. So yeah, we got a couple stories about Ubisoft. Actually, a few stories about Ubisoft here. There was a report out there. An insider from Ubisoft shared that they want Steam and Valve to hide concurrent player count data on Steam uh, going forward. And I'm sure Valve's not going to do this, but it is interesting that a company's reaching out about this. Um, I don't know much. Like, what do you think? Like, why do you think this is? Like, why would Ubisoft want this data hidden?
Uh, so they can take away from their. I think the little part of it is, all the toxicity that comes with Ubisoft and like the player account and everything like that.
Hmm.
The other thing I think is for the major part of it. I think is for investors.
Yeah.
Um, they want to look really good to shareholders or somebody's trying to buy them, maybe. And if you're looking at their player counts and their player numbers and their engagements and all the other stuff like that, like I have to look at that before I acquire you. And if your numbers are low, why would I want to acquire you? Why would I want to buy you out or anything like that and just take on that
Hmm.
that heartache or whatever I'm looking for, whatever word I'm looking for. But why would I want to take that on? So I
Yeah.
think the major part of it, I think people are going to try to spin this as, oh, they're just trying to hide their player numbers for nefarious reasons. That it's not related to players. I think it's strictly business, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and to be clear too, it's not just Ubisoft uh that the other companies want this as well from Valve. But yeah, I think it's simply to just control the narrative, right? Like,
Yeah,
the numbers aren't out there, then they can say to investors like, "Oh, we have 300 million active users, monthly active users, or whatever the fuck random number they want to come up with." Like, if the numbers aren't public, it's very easy to make up a statistic that makes you sound very good, and figure out some way to fudge your numbers to make it look better than it is. So with this data out there, you can't do that necessarily. So I think it's for that purpose, and I think you're totally right. It's for that business side of it for investors to kind of tell investors, yeah, our game's really healthy. We have such and such, monthly active users or something like that. And then, but right now, they could say that, and then their investors are going to go to Steam and look and see and be like, that's not true. You've got like 2,000 people on Steam right now. Like, you're really going to tell me that there's a million playing on PlayStation, or something like that. Um, so I don't know. I would think it's more just to control the narrative for the most part. But personally, I don't want Valve to do this, and I don't think they will. Frankly, but I think it's a benefit for all of us as players and anybody who's kind of paying attention to this industry that we can see those numbers. I would love to see these numbers for every platform. Frankly, I know obviously that's never going to happen, but I would love to know the truth. Like how many people are playing Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League on all platforms. What's their total player count? Like how many people are playing Fortnite concurrently? I love to know that information. Or same with like League. Like how many people are playing League? At any given time. It's like because there have been times where we feel like dude, is nobody playing this game? Like we have like a 15-minute queue for some fucking reason.
yeah, that
Um,
shit is crazy.
yeah. And it's like if you hear it from Riot, oh, we have 30 million monthly active users, and it's like, well, okay, but like what do you have like 10,000 playing at any given time? Like sometimes it feels that way. So, I don't know. I don't think this is going to happen, but it is an interesting thing to talk about. So, continuing with Ubisoft. Um, so XDefiant, they announced XDefiant is shutting down in 2025. They are closing their San Francisco and Osaka studios, laying off a huge amount of the staff there. They're not laying off everybody, but they are laying off a huge number of staff, and anybody that isn't being laid off is going to be moved to other projects. XDefiant is done. So this game is closing down, and this is just another failed live service game. This
Can you
was
roll the other one into that one too? Because I mean, I
yes.
kind of want to talk
So
about both.
yes. So as after this announcement, Yves Guillemot addressed the company, basically trying to address employee concerns about the company's future, and he did mention in here. So where's the quote? I want you to know that all my energy is focused on finding the means to guide Ubisoft through these turbulent times. Uh, they're working tirelessly on identifying the best solutions so we can maintain control of our destiny. And then he did mention XDefiant as well, and said it was their efforts to challenge Call of Duty were not enough. So yeah. Clearly Ubisoft's in a rough spot. It is getting closer and closer to the idea of them getting acquired. I think the longer this goes on, the closer we are to that every day, pretty much, without them having like a big turnaround. But Montrell, so what did you want to say about his comments related to this?
Well, I mean, I think everything is encompassing. I just think,
Mm-hmm.
well, first, like Ubisoft or not Ubisoft, yeah, Ubisoft X Defiant shutting down. Um, I think what we talked about in the group chat is very telling, and I think we see this is why I wish we were more popular. Because we've been sounding the alarm on this for like the last 2.5 years, maybe three,
Yeah,
that
probably
we
longer than
saw.
that.
Yeah, probably longer than that. That this bubble is it's getting too much. It's becoming too much. So what's funny is I saw this, and then IGN released a video saying the bubble burst, and they're talking about video games. They're specifically talking about these two video games, I believe.
Yeah,
Or and it's like, but how did we get here? You know, I mean, well, we already know how we get here. I don't want to know how we got here. Yeah, it says AAA video games bubble has burst, and they go and talk about how the AAA gaming industry, the bubble burst for it, and it's like,
it's been bursting.
yeah,
What
it's
world have we
been
been
bursting,
in? Yeah,
and I think I already know, like, just from talking to DJ, and he always brings us kind of back into reality. Like me and you are like the minority as far as like what we do with our games and how we consume our games and things of that nature. Um, and I mean, I found this out like anecdotally firsthand with, like I said, my other group chat where they were like, "Oh man, I love Madden as Ultimate Team." Like they were pumped for the next year of Madden Ultimate Team, and I
yeah,
couldn't fucking believe it. Um, but yeah, like, but with these two games in particular, there's another caveat to this, not just the microtransactions and everything of that nature, but the thing where how we said people just don't try anything new anymore because of the investor aspect of it. I think that's the investor. I don't want to be like all super woke, but like the investor capitalism kind of killed the creativity because you are scared to take that loss of what if it doesn't work out.
yeah.
X
But
Defiant
okay, yeah,
is that
Ugh,
Call of Duty clone, right?
yeah,
Foam Stars is that Splatoon clone or
yeah.
whatever. And it's like they try to separate themselves enough to not be called that. But when I see Foam Stars, no matter how much you tell me the gameplay is differently, it looks like Splatoon to me. When I see
Yeah.
X Defiant, I see nothing but Call of Duty when I play that when I see that game. I
Right,
haven't played it, but when I see that game getting played, no
right.
matter how much you tell me, like, oh, it is different. I can use these power ups and these power ups, and I'm like, I just see Black Ops 6 or Black Ops 5 or whatever. That's all I see, and it's like, um, yeah, it, we've I think developers have lost the flair so much, and the earnest is on us as well, or this is on us as the gamers as well, because we would be so fed up with like a Call of Duty, right? We would be like, oh man, I wish Call of Duty would do this and do that and do this the third, and then another game comes and does that. We will give it attention instead of being like, I don't know, shunning it. And it's like,
Yeah,
but do you shun it or do you give it attention to show that this is what you want from Call of Duty? You know what I'm saying? So it's like a give or take situation. And then you get games that kind of fall into the cracks, in my opinion, like games like Titanfall and other games where um they get caught in between the stratosphere of they are so different that they end up being the same, if that makes any sense. That people don't look at how different they are. Like the games that they should be looking at, they're like, oh, this is different. Or they're ahead of the curve 5 years too late. Like, remember last year I was talking about everyone was like, oh, I want more movement in my shooters. Oh, I want more movement. Oh my God, I need more movement. And it's like Titanfall's been there for the last 10 years, y'all. What the fuck are you talking about movement?
Yeah, right.
You know? So
Apex is there. Like, I don't.
Apex is there, exactly. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about? More movement. These games, and it's like they just want the twitchy shit. They don't really want movement. They just want more twitchy shit. And but then you have other franchises that feel like they're being left out. They want that greed so much. Battlefield is one of those franchises where they essentially killed the franchise because they were trying to chase after Call of Duty. Like, call it what you want, but the last Battlefield was the hero shooter or operator shooter or whatever the fuck you want to call it. Battlefield, and then they start releasing yearly Battlefields before that, or maybe like a year and a half dev cycle, whereas that wasn't the case for Battlefield. Battlefield was always this game that Battlefield players would just love, and or not love, but like play and really study, really get your squads together, learn strategies and everything like that to conquer the map or whatever the case may be. And now none of that is there, because how am I supposed to learn how to fly a helicopter when the next game comes out, in a year? And it really does take that long to learn how to fly the helicopter or learn how to fly learn how to pilot certain vehicles in Battlefield. If you're just not inherently good at it, so and they had their own lane to carve, and then they got too greedy. And I mean, Capcom has done this, where I call it the dark era of Capcom, where they turned all their games into this weird Western version of their games that they wanted to really try to tackle the Western audience. And they literally said in the article they're trying to get Call of Duty numbers, and it's like, what the fuck are you talking about? Be Capcom. And it's like, well, that's not selling. And it's like, it will sell. Just be Capcom. Like, I don't understand how to, like, and Square did it too. They're a little bit more strategic with theirs. In my opinion, they came out a little bit okay. Not good, but better than Capcom. Well, actually, Capcom came out better than Square, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Ultimately, yeah. But ultimately, they were doing the same thing.
What you're saying, though. At that time, Square was better than Capcom in that era you're talking about.
Yeah, exactly. They had way better studios, and like EOS Montreal was like killing it, So it's like, I ain't mean to conquer a conversation like that, but it's just like the bubble's been burst. Sometimes I really want to. I feel like the game industry is gaslighting me, because it's like, where has everyone been for the last 10 years? Like,
there definitely are gaslighting. I don't know. Like, I think a lot of video game analysis, unfortunately, does not take history into account very much. And I think it's a significant flaw to game coverage. It's very reactionary to what's happening in the moment and what happened in the immediate past, like the last 6 months, I'd say. It's like, once you're a year or two removed from something, like, I feel like people forget that it happened, whereas these things are very domino effect alike, where they actually do impact other things down the line, like Concord's failure is probably going to impact Sony at some point down the line, or already did. It's like The Last of Us Online getting canceled impacts Naughty Dog. It already has. We just don't know exactly how. And it's like, people don't think about this stuff, I feel like, and in this particular case with Ubisoft, with XDefiant, dude, I don't understand what the fuck they were thinking, trying to make. I mean, he literally calls it a challenge Call of Duty. Like, what? Why are you bothering at this anymore with this? Like, we were talking about this with DJ earlier today. It's like, I don't understand why these companies are going at like Fortnite and fucking like Call of Duty and frankly, even for some of these Chinese games, Genshin Impact and Honkai Star Rail, it's like, what are you thinking? You're going at this juggernaut that has more money than you by orders of magnitude, that they can crush you if they really want to. And it's like, fill a different niche. Like, fill a different space. You can make a game similar to Call of Duty and like, but change it enough where it's distinct and it's its own thing. And like we were talking about Battlefield, originally, that's exactly what Battlefield was originally, right? And that's why it got a huge community and had a big audience and was it wasn't a direct competitor to COD, but it was kind of side by side with COD for a minute there, you know?
Yeah. Yep.
And then eventually you described this, like they fell into this trap where they started trying to release Battlefield every year, and they were making the games more like COD, you know, and less like traditional Battlefield. And it's like they like lost the plot of why they were successful in the fucking first place. And they've now gotten to the point where the franchise is in fucking shambles. You know, it's like Battlefield's fucking broken, dude. Like, who knows if they're gonna ever release another one that's actually even any good? You know, who knows? We don't like that's the point we're at with Battlefield. They fucking ruined the franchise, like chasing COD.
What's crazy about that is, as well, right? They started a new trend.
Mm-hmm.
You remember when they went back to Battlefield 1 and everyone was like, oh my God, this is amazing. Everyone was like skeptical at first, and they brought people back. And
it was a great idea though. A World War I shooter, not two.
Exactly.
And you think that distinction is stupid and small, but it's actually huge. The difference in technology between those two wars is very large in terms of firearms and stuff like that. And that puts you in a design space that's a lot different than a World War II shooter, you know?
Yeah. And they designed it in a way where you were doing trench warfare. You were like, they had certain spots where you had to wait to cross the line until your general blew the whistle and told everyone to charge. And like, you would hear them say charge and blow the whistle. And it was like, and some people be holding the flag. Like, it was like that cool. And it's like, in the aesthetics of World War I, like soldiers wearing fucking capes and shit like that. Like, they were fucking like, it was just so fucking cool and different. And they had that, and then they lost it. They lost the plot again with Battlefield 5. And it's like, how do you go from Battlefield 1?
You remember that?
Like, how do you go from that to Battlefield, the Firestorm, whatever the fuck it was called, and then Battlefield 5, where you had like a lady with a prosthetic arm in World War II. And you're like, bro, what the fuck is this? Like, and even COD tried to revive that weird. It was a weird phase when people were trying to revive the World War II shooters, and like everybody was like, "No, we don't want this shit again. We went through this shit in 2005. We're not going through it again in 2023 or whatever." But it's like, I don't know, man. Like, for you to revitalize the franchise in Battlefield 1, where they went back to World War I and then just shit the bed again, has to speak to some kind of mismanagement, some kind of delusion from either the higher ups or the team lead. I can't blame the developers for this. They're just doing what they're told at this point, you know? So it has to be some kind of direction of who's steering that ship, you know? And I just don't know. I mean, like, you put in the chat, like, was that you or was that DJ who said, like, where's our fucking Mega Man? Where's our Castlevania side-scrolling games?
That was me, yeah.
Yeah, like, I agree with that. And Ubisoft had a clear example to revitalize the Prince of Persia with the Prince of Persia,
Lost Crown.
What's it called?
Yeah.
Lost Crown. People love that game, but because it didn't sell as well as you wanted to,
their expectations are out of whack.
Yeah, like I don't understand, because like, if you put a small team on that game and you make a version 2 of that game, I'm assuming it requires a lot of resources. I'm not a developer, but like, I'm assuming it requires a lot of resources, but not the resources to make like Watch Dogs 2 or something like that. We don't need that. We don't need it an Assassin's level.
Yeah, if that game costs more than 30 or 40 million to make, that's insane. You know,
I would say it should only cost like 10 million to make.
No, it realistically should be 10 or 20 million probably at the level that game was at.
Yeah.
probably.
But like that's what we need. We need smaller budget games. But we can get a $20 million or $10 million Castlevania game. We can get a $10 million or a $5 million Mega Man game. We can get those games. You can recoup those because people are going to be yearning for those games. So I don't know, man. I didn't mean to cut you off. So yeah, go.
Oh no, you're good. You're good. Yeah, no, I think Ubisoft's lost. Like right now, they really are. They just don't seem to have like everything they're doing is not going well, and the things that are going well, like Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, isn't good enough for them. So I don't really know. I don't know. I don't know what to tell them. Like it's like what like they work themselves into this corner realistically.
Yeah,
Like they
100%.
really have become like they just started making the same game too many times. Like it's just they are the publisher that makes Assassin's Creed game and third person shooters. That's it. Tom Clancy games and like Far Cry. Like that's what they do. And then occasionally they have a random game like Skull and Bones or fucking Star Wars Outlaws or something like that comes out, but I mean, it's just a derivative of something they've already made, like I don't feel like they explore new spaces anymore, which is funny because like, dude, back in the day, I mean, it's not even that long ago. It's not even 10 years ago when The Division came out. Like I remember
Oh man,
how
that game's so good.
yeah, the game felt so innovative, and it felt so interesting and unique. They created this almost like block for block recreation of New York City. It's not 100% perfect, but it felt like New York. Like they
Yeah,
know how to make an environment better than almost any company in the fucking world. Like their teams are so good at creating a realistic feeling space that's really immersive, But then they
yeah.
make a game like what they do is they make that space and then they fill it with the most unimmersive gameplay imaginable where it's just like fucking icon throw up all over the screen and you have this UI that takes up fucking 40% of the goddamn screen. You can't even see your fucking character. It's like I feel like they have this like weird kind of dichotomy they've created with the games they make, because it's like they're amazing at representing something historically and in an accurate way, or at least a way that feels accurate. I mean, the Assassin's Creed games are like this too, dude. When I played Odyssey, that was one of the most striking things about the game is the fucking environments. It looks amazing. Like it's a great, incredible representation of Greece, like ancient Greece. It's like it's so fucking frustrating, because it's like they have the foundation there, I think, to make amazing games, but they are wrapped up. They're like the epitome of what's wrong with capitalism, like companies that are corporate capitalist companies. It's like they have these pieces that are incredible that are real. They could make really great stuff, but they're too busy chasing the dollar that they ruin their games by chasing the dollar. If they just left it the fuck alone, like they might sell more copies because they're making a game, like they're focused on making a fucking game rather than making a buck. And I think that's the trap Ubisoft fell in, and then they just stopped being creative. They just started making the same game or the same kind of game over and over and over and over again. And they aren't exploring interesting spaces. There's peaks of it coming through sometimes, like Mario Rabbids, Kingdom Battle is an example, right? That's a really cool game. I haven't really played it, but like the concept of it, that's fucking awesome. It's a Mario Rabbids game that's XCOM on Nintendo platforms. Like that's a really cool idea. So it's like they're capable of it, Ubisoft is capable of it. They're just so frustrating though. Like they just want to be, I don't know, they want to be like the Cheetos of video games, It's like,
I feel like they're like in a competition. They're trying to be in competition with EA to be the most scummiest.
And they shouldn't be. They shouldn't be though. Stop trying to compete with EA and Activision. Like be in your own space. That's the problem. They feel like they're always a follower of those two,
Yeah, and they're doing a terrible job at it because like you said, like
right.
they do create these spaces where they really make you feel immersed. Like I've never been a fan of pirates. Like
Yeah.
I like Pirates of the Caribbean, but like the whole genre or the whole fantasy of pirating like never really appealed to me.
Yeah.
Until I played Black Flag, Assassin's Creed Black Flag.
Yeah.
and you get your own crew, you get your own ship, you're sailing around. Yeah, they got the standard Ubisoft, icons everywhere, but like your fucking crew is singing ho ho ho, and while you're fucking sailing and shit, bro, and then you can come across another ship, you can fight with that ship,
Yeah.
you can swing across the fucking the decks and then go on the other ship and then fight their captain and shit like that. Like you felt like a real fucking pirate. And I was just like, this is fucking amazing. Like I feel like Pirates of the Caribbean, like in Assassin's Creed or whatever.
Yeah.
And then you get Skull and Bones, and you look at that gameplay, you're like, what the fuck is this shit? How do you go from Assassin's Creed Black Flag? That's like the epiphany. That's like the number one pirate game to me. Besides, what's the other game that fucking Xbox had that Rare made?
I'm forgetting.
The pirate
I
game.
don't remember.
Pirate game. Oh my god, we're so old.
Sea of Thieves. Sea of Thieves.
Sea of Thieves. Yeah.
Okay.
So you got besides Sea of Thieves, right?
Yeah.
You got like this is the only pirate game that actually like makes pirating fun, in my opinion. Because I don't like the genre anyway. But like I love that game. And then you come to Skull and Bones, and it's like none of that's there. Like we're talking about the industry, like the journalism industry, not looking at the history of games. The developers themselves, or the companies themselves, I wouldn't say the developers, the companies themselves don't look at the history of their games. And it's like, I understand too, right? From an artistic point of view, like maybe you're a young, brash, developer. You're like, I don't need that old shit. What the fuck is that? I don't need to look at that shit. And it's like, I agree with you to a certain extent. But there are some fundamental things that you need to learn from like old stuff, right? Like I can be a developer, a 3D modeler, right?
Yeah.
But I still had to learn the fundamentals of art and anatomy. So I have to look at those old grease paintings. I have to look at those old, just the old Renaissance paintings and stuff like that when they were, getting really into the muscular part and they were learning the anatomy of man and everything and how to draw it and contort it and everything like that. You have to learn that when you're sculpting and when you're doing clay, because you're basically clay sculpting on the 3D digital canvas, and you have to learn that. And like so there are always fundamentals within the old stuff. Like you can throw a lot of the mindset, I guess, of the old out, but those fundamentals need to be there. And I think a lot of companies, a lot of developers forget those fundamentals a lot. I mean, I think even BioWare, as much as like Dragon Age Veilguard, they need to go back and look at what made Dragon Age and Mass Effect, the dynamic there, the team dynamic, so dynamic, so diverse. With how you can do with your gameplay and everything of that nature. I think Baldur's Gate is one team that actually studied that in a way.
Yeah.
You can tell they played these games, like not just CRPGs, but they played BioWare games, and they understood what a BioWare game was. But like, I mean, I'm bringing it back to like, Foam Stars and then XDefiant. It's like, do you know why you failed as an XDefiant? Do you know why you failed as Foam Stars?
Yeah.
Because you don't understand the fundamentals of what made Splatoon. You don't know why they made Splatoon. Splatoon was like, we're tired of the regular first-person shooter, third-person shooter shit. How about you just shoot walls, and that is the way you play the game and win the game? Occasionally, you fucking kill somebody to get a better leg up on the map, but ultimately, map domination is the way to do it. And I mean, Foam Stars is doing that, but you didn't set yourself enough apart from that. And then that game already exists that people love.
Also, as an idea, right? Like, why are you making Foam Stars? It's like, like you said, Nintendo decided they wanted to make a shooter, but get away from that shooter design space. Do something different in that design space. Did you just make Foam Stars to copy Splatoon? Like what is the point?
Well, I think Splatoon could be better if they do this, and then that's what they make Foam Stars.
Yeah, and it's like, it wasn't. So I don't really understand what you were going for. It's like, I don't know. Like you failed. Like it's puzzling. It's like I think that's ultimately the point I think we were trying to make together with DJ, like when we were all talking about this, is that, and I think we all agree with this, is that I think these companies, if you're going to make a live service game, or really any game in general, but I think this is more true for live service games, is like you really have to sit down and think about your idea, and does it fill a space that isn't already filled, you know? Because if it doesn't fill a new space, there's almost no quality bar you could hit that is really going to make you succeed, you know? And it's not always true, you know, there are exceptions to this, but dude, like if you're trying to make a game, I mean, we saw this in BR, right? you
Oh my
okay,
god, the
you had
most
PUBG.
oversaturated.
Yeah, right. And you have PUBG, right? That came out, and it was it like let's be frank. We all liked it. We liked it. Montrell and Jet liked it. But
I'm not
PUBG
gonna hate on
sucks.
that.
But
Yeah,
PUBG sucks. It's not a good game. Like ultimately, like it is fun to some degree, and there are aspects to it that make it fun, but it isn't really that great of a game on its own. It was popular because the idea was novel and it was kind of janky, and people were kind of into that. You know, you felt like you were getting it on the ground floor of something. You know, and I kind of think that's why they kind of ran away with it. But then you have Fortnite come out, right? And it's not PUBG. It's decidedly different in the way it plays from PUBG, and it has some different mechanics and looks completely different, right? And that game ultimately fucking takes off because it is filling a different space than PUBG, right? And then you have Apex that comes out after that, which is decidedly different from both of those games, right? In different ways, right? Like it's filling a different niche than both of those games are filling. And then after that, you have a bunch of copycats that come and not a single one of them stick. Like what BR can you think of outside of those three that I just mentioned that still fucking exists? Outside of Warzone, maybe with Call of Duty, but it's attached to Call of Duty, so of course it exists, right? It's not whatever, you know? And even that one is filling a different niche than the other three, right? So it's like, but now at this point,
I don't think
it's
people
saturated.
buy COD exclusively for Warzone.
There was a time that they were, but I think that time is now past, right?
Yeah.
I think we're past the point where Warzone is kind of the defining mode for COD anymore. But dude, you take those four, right? Where are you going to fill in there? You know, like what idea are you going to come up with in BR that's really novel? That's like going to challenge that and like get in there and have you become a big battle royale game. There isn't. I mean, I'm sure there is. Somebody could figure out something that's different, but nobody was, you know? Everybody was trying all these different ideas and none of them stuck because these games existed already. It's like there were interesting ideas in there. There was like the fucking dodgeball one that came out or whatever from EA or whatever that died pretty quickly. Ubisoft tried one, if you remember, that came out and like died pretty quickly. It's just people were like, it all happened too fast. People were done with this. Okay. Like they had their BR and they were happy with the BR they had, you know? We didn't need 18 of them, you know, or 50 of them that ultimately happened. You know, it's like, and like going into a different genre, right? Like MOBAs. We've had Dota, we've had League, we have Smite, we have kind of our big three there, right? Well, Valve has one of these, and what do? They decide, you know, we want to make another MOBA, you know, and it's like, oh, what are we gonna do? Well, we're gonna make it a third-person shooter with high mobility, you know, but it's still a MOBA, and it's like, well, nobody's done that before, and people are fucking super into it, dude. It's a new idea, you know. So that's kind of the key thing with these live service games. You have to do something at least somewhat new. You know, you can't just make Call of Duty with your fucking IP, you know? It's like that's not going to work. It's not going to work. You are not going to attract the Call of Duty people to come play your game. They're not, like, as much as sometimes within these communities you see these periods of time where people get really frustrated with the game they're playing, whether that's COD, Apex, you know, we had it with Apex or whatever game it is.
Mm-hmm.
But eventually those people are players of that game for the most part. They're going to go back, you know, And we get pissed at League all the time. We're pissed at League every time we play it. But we still come back. Ultimately, it's like, so what MOBA is going to get us to come away? Like, dude, me and you were like excited about Deadlock, right? And we ended up getting codes for it, and I still have it downloaded and installed. Have any of us booted it up once? No. We're League players. Like, that's what we do. You know, it's like, so that's my point ultimately, is like, you really have to do something very different to actually attract people away from these games that are already established. It's like, it's not as true as single player games because they're you play it, you're done with it, and you put it aside and you move on to the next thing. You know, you're not playing it all the time. It's not a constant thing. So you don't need that innovation nearly as much, right? You can get away with being derivative of something else, you know? And that's very true in the single player space, I'd say. But in multiplayer, I just don't think that's true because these games are still around. You know, they're not dead. They're not like in 30 years when Fortnite doesn't exist anymore. If somebody comes out with something that's just like Fortnite 30 years from now, that might be able to succeed, but not today. You know, it's like because Fortnite's already here. So I don't know. I've been ranting for like 10 minutes. But it's just
I ranted for a while too, so I was letting.
But dude, it's just really frustrating to watch, you know, because yeah, we didn't. So let's move on to Foam Stars real quick. You know, we have mentioned it a couple times. We didn't actually like formally introduce the story, but yeah, Foam Stars is shutting down as well. And it's not shutting down. Sorry, they're ending support in January. I'm sure the shutdown is going to come at some point after that, but they're not going to be supporting the game anymore. So it's just going to go into maintenance mode, and the game is done. And this is Square Enix, you know, doing the same thing. And it's like, it's literally what we just said, the same thing, right? They just copied Splatoon. And I know people who play the game probably would tell us that that's not 100% true, right?
Aesthetics matter, though. Aesthetics really matter to a game, man. I'm sorry.
Right.
You know? So
the way you introduce it, the way you market it, those things matter. Remember, does everybody remember Battleborn? Yeah, that game died because of the way Gearbox and Randy Pitchford decided to market it. They refused to let anybody say that it was a MOBA, even though it was a MOBA, and they wanted to be compared to Overwatch. So then they were compared to Overwatch. And guess what? Overwatch came out, Battleborn came out, and Battleborn shut down within a year, and Overwatch is still going, you know, now. So it's like marketing matters, you know? And that is specifically because they refuse to let their game be marketed as a fucking MOBA, you know? And they didn't want to be known as that for some fucking reason. They looked at that as like a negative term. And yeah, the game paid the price for that. So marketing does matter as much as maybe it doesn't play exactly like Splatoon. I don't think it does, actually. I think you do kill people in the game, but it's like, but it doesn't matter. It looks like Splatoon. It looks exactly like Splatoon in terms of the way it plays. It's too close. It's like we were just talking about with that Horizon clone, right? Like, it ultimately looks exactly like Horizon, you know, even if it does look like it plays a little differently aesthetically, it looks exactly like fucking Horizon, you know? But Horizon's a single player game, so it doesn't matter as much. That game is going to be, I believe, a live service game of some sort. So it will be interesting to see how that game does, you know, over time. So yeah, I don't know, rant over it much. Anything you want to say about Foam Stars?
No, I mean, I'm looking at the gameplay and everything, and I mean, they have a comparison video up. It looks just like Splatoon, but like with fancier graphics. I don't know, man. Like,
yeah,
y'all can say it plays differently, but I just watched a comparison video and it looks exactly the same. And it's like the same thing with like XDefiant. I think I've been watching XDefiant, and I think my last final thought on both of these is like, I will agree with DJ in one thing where it's like sometimes consumers don't know what they want.
Yeah, definitely.
I think XDefiant is one of those games because everything that people complained about for COD, like the Twitch shooter, like, oh, I want more movement, I want this, I want that, I want this, and that, the third. Like, XDefiant had all of that. It checked all those boxes, and it still died because, like you said, I'm gonna go play League instead, man. Like, that's my comfort game. Like, I know this game may have like better mechanics and all this other shit like that, but like, well, like MOBAs are different, like, because you have to learn like macro and micro and all this other bullshit, right? But like, even for shooters too, you gotta learn all that other shit. And some people just don't feel like learning that other shit. I just go back and play what I've been playing, bro. Like, cool.
Well, learning something that's complicated that you've never played before takes effort, And sometimes when I get home from work, I've had a long day. It's 7:30 or 8, and I've got like 3 or 4 hours to game. I don't want to spend that time learning something new and getting my ass handed to me for 4 hours. It's like, and I think a lot of people are like that ultimately, at the end of the day. So I don't know. It just feels like something I just don't understand. For some reason, there's a disconnect with the executives of these companies. Like, they just don't seem to get it. They just keep trying to make these games because they see dollar signs, and it's true. If you can hit on one, yeah, it's a fucking money printing machine for you. But the chances of you hitting on one, it literally feels like hitting the lottery. It's like for in equivalence of for game makers, at least.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I mean, last point from me on my end, but like, because I don't want to. I don't want to be the cause of why we're standing on this, but this is our last story, isn't it? No, we have one more thing.
We got one more. Dude, it's fine. We knew the show was gonna be
all
long.
Right. Yeah. But once again, like you said, history matters. This is not the first time this has happened in history.
Right.
The reason we got Sonic is because they wanted to make a Mario, something that can beat Mario. Yeah. The reason why we got Killzone is they wanted to make a Halo killer. I remember when Halo came out, I saw so many articles. Is this the next Halo killer? Is this the next Halo killer? Is this the next Halo killer? And it's like, no, it's not. Stop telling me this. Like, I don't care.
You remember World of Warcraft?
I was gonna say World of Warcraft. How many Korean clones did we have in World of Warcraft?
Oh, Jesus, dude. How many?
All the Korean MMOs I played. I played so many Korean MMOs. I love them. I still love them.
All of them, even Western ones. Like, how many? Fucking, fucking Ion, Age of Conan, Lord of the Rings Online. I can't even remember them all. Warhammer Online. Like, they all fucking died. Well, Lord of the Rings Online still exists, but it's it's got like a little baby community.
It's a shell. It's a shell of itself.
But it's a shell of itself, right? It's been subsisting off a very small group of people for a long time. It's like these aren't major success stories, right?
And then the ones that stood out had to spend so much money, Star Wars, that it was unsustainable.
Right.
The only ones that survived, in my opinion, which felt a different niche, was Final Fantasy 14. And you know what they said? And you know how they did that? How about we make an MMO for players who are not into like min-maxing, who not into all those add-ons and oh my god, I gotta get the highest DPS. I want to play like a single player MMO. That's what I'm going to play. Like I just want to chill. I just want to chill. And y'all may not. I mean, probably it's not like this now, but the first, I would say 4 years of like Final Fantasy Reborn was like, mwah. It was a dream, man. Like people were so nice. Hey, you need help with this? I'll join your quest. That's how nice it was, y'all. Mm-hmm. We probably can't get that back now because World of Warcraft players infiltrated Final Fantasy 14.
I mean, I think they still pretty strictly ban people for being mean in that game. So
okay, that's good. That's the one time I won't.
They kind of force people to be nice, which some people resent. But it's better than League, where we tell people to abort their moms, or their moms wanted to abort them or some shit. Like, I don't know. But Final Fantasy is a good example, though. Remember, that game failed before it succeeded. So significantly failed. It's just that it was Final Fantasy. Like, Square couldn't leave it that way. Any other game almost out there, like any other IP, it would have just failed and fallen into disrepair in history, but it happened to be Final Fantasy, and Square just felt like they could not leave it like that, so it's just, I don't know.
Well, I mean, look at Final Fantasy 11. I feel like that game was successful because it was so different from WoW. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was a hard game to play.
Yeah.
And a lot of people like that. And I mean, to its credit, EverQuest was like different. I mean, though it was like the originator, it was still different from WoW, and WoW was different from EverQuest.
But that's why
Uh,
WoW was successful, right? WoW was different from EverQuest. That's exactly why it blew up, you know?
exactly, yeah.
Um,
And
so
I feel like sometimes originality is almost like a curse, right? I
mm.
I I was just waiting to hear when Helldivers just popped off. I was waiting to see how many Helldivers clones we're gonna get now. Like I'm like, oh, we
Yeah.
about to get
No,
so many
that's
Helldivers
another
clones.
good example. Helldivers, totally unique amongst these games, you know? Like yes, we've had horde mode games in the past, but it's been a long time. It's been a really long time, and they're not like this. They weren't like this either.
To where the
You know?
developers engage with the community
Yeah.
on on the level that they do, where they're like, making fake like PSA calls and stuff like that. Like, oh, Super Earth is under attack, guys, and like we need all of you to rally in, and like the community like rallies behind to kill the bugs. Or
Yeah, Malevelon Creek, baby. I remember Malevelon Creek. I didn't even play the game. I remember. I remember how many men and women sacrificed themselves for democracy at Malevelon Creek. I remember. Okay, like, man, we were getting daily news stories about the initiative, about the war effort there. It was a great time for democracy. But all right,
Yeah,
we've been
but
talking about this enough. I'm gonna leave the
yeah,
last comment to Max the German here on the PlayStation on Push Square. Another one bites the foam.
yeah,
All right,
yeah.
we're gonna move on to our final story. Is October Circana numbers, and I'm just gonna jump right into it. So, total video game sales for October 2024 were 4.662 billion this year versus 4.254 billion last year. That's a 10% increase. Video game content. This is physical digital game sales, DLC microtransactions, etc. 4.227 billion this year versus 3.770 billion last year. That is a 12% increase. Video game hardware sales 249 million this year versus 323 million last year. That is a 23% decrease year over year. And then video game accessories 187 million this year versus 162 million this year. That is a 15% increase. And then total sales for the year 45 billion 45.36 billion this year versus 44.841 billion last year at this time. Video game content 40.423 billion this year versus 38.907 billion last year. That's a 4% increase. Video game hardware 2.815 billion this year versus 3.973 billion last year. That is a 29% decrease. And then video game accessories 2.122 billion this year versus 1.960 billion last year. That's an 8% increase. So continue to see the trend of hardware sales completely cratering year over year. This is happening to all of the manufacturers, by the way. It is not one specifically. It's happening to Sony, it's happening to Nintendo, and it's happening to Microsoft. Nintendo makes plenty of sense given the fact that a new console is about to be announced soon. Microsoft makes plenty of sense as well. We've talked about that ad nauseum. They've completely their hardware business just feels like it's completely cratering. Sony's a little bit more interesting though. I would say it's a little bit less explicable with them. I would say. I don't know if like we're reaching some saturation point or something, or maybe this is just a short term thing for them. But yeah, hardware sales are down. Accessories way up. And October was a good month for game sales, like actual games. 10% and 12% increases on that.
Yeah,
So
we had some decent games come out in the last 3 months.
yeah. Well, October specifically, let's get into the top 20 lists. We had a lot of new games on the list. So number 1, Call of Duty Black Ops 6, no surprise. Number 2, Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. Number 3, Silent Hill 2. Number 4, Undisputed. Number 5, Metaphor ReFantazio. Number 6, Dragon Age: The Veilguard. 7, Super Mario Party Jamboree. 8, Madden NFL 25. 9, Sonic Shadow Generations. 10, EA Sports FC 25. 11, EA Sports College Football 25. 12, Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom. 13, Hogwarts Legacy. 14, NHL 25. 15, Astrobot. 16, Minecraft. 17, NBA 2K 25. 18, Life is Strange Double Exposure. 19, Final Fantasy 1 through 6 bundle, and 20 Elden Ring. What's jumping out to you there, Montrell?
I'm actually surprised that Metaphor is number 5 compared to fucking Silent Hill. Holy shit, Silent Hill sold a lot.
Yeah. I mean, Metaphor is still like, I think people overestimate how much Atlas games sell. Um, they're still pretty niche, as popular as they are. And I don't think it's from lack of exposure as much as it is. I think it's just there's a pretty large barrier to entry for their games, frankly. They kind of demand a lot from the player, a lot of engagement from a player, you know, and patience.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I think it's one of those games where it's like everyone talks about it, but not everyone plays it. If that makes
Right.
any sense.
Yeah.
I feel like Final Fantasy VII was one of those games, but whatever. But
Yeah.
Sparking Zero, I expected to be high. Black Ops, I expected to be high. I just didn't expect Silent Hill to be that high. I mean, Dragon Age is in the top 10, so
it's number 6 with 1 day on sale in the month. You know, it came out on
somebody.
Halloween.
Somebody's lying, Justin. That's all I gotta say.
Well,
somebody's lying.
I don't know. I'm going to be very interested to see where it is in November on the top 20 for the year list. Because we'll get into it in a second, but it is not on the top 20 bestsellers for the year list. So,
Okay.
So it seems to have sold decently, but like how well has it really sold? I kind of feel like everybody's lying and it's kind of somewhere in the middle. That's kind of what I'm thinking. You know, so I don't know. Super Mario Party Jamboree, man, I don't know. Nintendo's just got to make more Mario Party games, dude. They seem to sell. Like people like them, you know, for good reason. And then this Undisputed game, dude. This is a boxing game, I believe. That
I
came
thought
out.
that was the MMA game.
Is it MMA? Hold on.
Maybe it's not. Maybe I'm thinking of something else. Maybe it is. Maybe it is boxing.
It is a boxing game, yeah.
It's
Perhaps
boxing?
this is
Okay.
from the article. Perhaps the most impressive new game is Undisputed, the boxing game and debut title from Steel City Interactive.
Oh my god! I search up Undisputed, and then the first thing that pops up is Jake Paul DLC.
Yeah, it's Chip Bayless's show. Fucking kill me. Yeah, unfortunately it's a kind of an unfortunate name to pick for your game because that show is huge. But yeah, and then Sonic Shadow Generations number 9. It's a pretty strong show.
I mean, yeah, I'm not surprised actually. I mean, a lot of people were talking about the game. A lot of people like Shadow. The movie is right around the corner. It comes out on the 20th. Oh
yeah.
Yeah, I'm about to go see that next week. I gotta buy those tickets. Yeah.
Okay. Are you guys gonna drag me to see it? I still haven't watched the movies.
No, we're not gonna drag you to see it.
Okay.
You can see it in your own time.
All right. If I can muster the courage to see it by, see the first 2 by then, maybe I'll come with you guys. But yeah.
I'm not holding my breath.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's as likely to happen as Jet playing Mass Effect, before Pantheon comes out next week.
Oh my god, he might. He'll probably play the game and hate Mass Effect, so maybe he shouldn't.
I honestly have always felt that way. That as much as me, you, and Brad say to him, "Oh, you're gonna fucking love Mass Effect, dude. It's so good. It's right up your alley." I've always felt like he's actually gonna play it. And he's gonna be like, "This fucking blows. What are you guys talking about?" And I'm just gonna want to murder him, So, all right, top 20 games for the year so far in the U.S. Number 1, EA Sports College Football 25. Number 2, Helldivers 2. Number 3, Call of Duty Black Ops 6. Number 4, Dragon Ball Sparking 0. Number 5, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3. Number 6, Madden NFL 25. Number 7, EA Sports MVP Bundle. Number 8, Elden Ring. Number 9, Dragon's Dogma 2. Number 10, EA Sports FC 25. Number 11, MLB The Show 24. 12, WWE 2K24. 13, Hogwarts Legacy. 14, Grand Theft Auto 5. 15, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. 16 Tekken 8, 17 NBA 2K24, 18 Minecraft, 19 Madden NFL 24, and 20 Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. So only 2 games from this month on the top 20 list. But dude, I mean, Dragon Ball Sparking Zero jumped all the way up to 4. Like that's outsold Madden.
Wait,
like,
really?
What? Yeah, dude. Madden NFL 25 is 6. I'm like, what?
Again. That's not right.
Like, holy shit, dude. Dragon Ball's fucking huge, man. Like, what the hell?
Well, it's fucking Budokai Tenkaichi, bro. I mean, people love that shit.
Yeah, what has Bandai been doing? What have they been doing this whole time? You know, like
making
holy shit.
Arena, making other fucking arena anime
making
games.
Their 80th, 18th fucking Naruto arena fucking fighter, Naruto, Ninja Storm, Generations, Revolution, fucking, you know, refresh.
It has to be one word. It has to be like one word. So let me see. Naruto Storm, Revolution. No, did they have a Revolution? No, I don't think they have a Revolution.
Revelations, yet. I think they have.
They had a Revelations, yeah. So this one would be Revolution. Yeah. That would be the next.
Or refresh.
Oh my god.
Naruto Ninja Storm refresh.
What else can you do with Naruto? I fucking hate Naruto. So like, what else can you do with that goddamn
bro? Make an RPG. Make an open world RPG. What are we doing? What do you mean? Oh, there's so many ideas, Montrell. Bandai, they're their worst culprit for not doing anything fucking new. Can you fucking imagine an action RPG Naruto game where you go do fucking missions for the Hidden Leaf Village as Naruto? Are you fucking kidding me?
Bro, the only reason I hate that idea is because they're going to do the bare minimum.
I understand what you're saying, but imagine a world where they didn't. I know this will never happen, but imagine a world where they didn't do the bare minimum and they made an amazing fucking action RPG Naruto game. I would be up that game's ass so fucking fast you don't even know, okay? Like, Jesus Christ, can you imagine? You have to like travel to the fucking like, you know, hidden village of the mist or the waves or whatever the fuck.
Yeah, and they can put their little fucking filler stories in there. Like
you get like fucking ambushed on the way by like another ninja squad or something. Like fuck, holy shit, dude! Can you imagine? Oh,
I'm trying to imagine. Only thing I can imagine is nothing but pure sadness.
Dog shit, because that's what they would make. It's literally got the combat of a Naruto Ninja Storm game, but it's an action RPG.
I play games like Scarlet Nexus, and I'm just like, man, this game was so fucking good, bro. Yeah. And then I find out that they take that battle director, or they take that director of that game, and put them on a Tales game. And I'm like, oh, well, I'm never getting this franchise again. Like he's on a Tales of series, though.
That was his test bed to see if he was worthy of Tales.
Apparently so.
Worthy of Tales. It's funny. But
all right, know, man. Well, like Sparking Zero though. I mean, it is the OG original anime thing, so I can't get mad at it. You know, a lot of people grew up.
I'm just surprised at how popular it is, dude. Like, it's huge.
I'm not. People have been waiting for. There are still mods for Budokai Tenkaichi 3 that you can play like right now, and they add characters to it and everything of that nature, like current characters. They make their own characters and they put the move sets in there and everything. So I mean, I'm not surprised at all that so as well as it did.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just do you think this tells anything to EA though? Madden is number 6 and is being seemingly significantly outsold by College Football 25.
No, they're just going to switch gears to college football now.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, college football further not work on Madden, do nothing with Madden.
You get an Angry Joe video every year, baby.
Every year. Annual tradition, dude, where I pull out the popcorn, you know? I mean, that man is doing a service for all of us, you know? I will say, no matter how I feel about Angry Joe at any given time, that man has been doing a service for us for over a decade now.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I disagree with him on his Dragon Age video, but
yeah,
his
right.
his EA his Madden videos are fucking funny as fuck. So regardless if you like them or not, they're funny as fuck.
Dude,
I look forward to the character creator every year. That's my favorite part.
Dude, the number of years in a row where it was like 8 faces, and he's like 8 faces, and 3 of them are exactly the same. Like, and they literally are exactly the same. It's unbelievable, dude. And he'd go back to last year's video and show you that it's still the same fucking face from last year that they're using. Like, oh my god, man. At a certain point, he started getting mind boggled by it, because he's like, there's less faces and they're using the same faces from before, and they're using the same face 3 times in this game. What is happening? Like, it was fucking, oh my god, it's so funny. And then I think it was this year's game though, where they finally added like a shitload of faces, right?
Yeah.
There was finally like 60 of them or something. So
yeah, they added a shitload of them.
Oh my god, that shit. Yeah, no, the character creator is fucking gold. It's a fucking gold mine, dude. Oh man,
I can't remember which year it was. But when he discovered that they had the same assets, like literally the same assets.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that was like 18 or 19, I think, where that happened. And then they continued to do it, though. It happened like the next year, and then a couple years after that again. Like, it's just they just don't give a shit, man. They don't care. They don't need to care, It's like they really don't need to care. So
well, I mean, it is some saving grace that like Madden's all the way down at the bottom, 2K's all the way down at the bottom.
Well, no, that's Madden 24 you're looking at.
Oh, that's 24. Yeah, never mind. Fuck.
Last year's Madden is the 19th best-selling game in the U.S. So and that's 2K 24. Actually, that is this year's 2K, isn't it? Because they don't do the next year thing, right?
I thought they used to, but maybe they don't anymore.
So NBA 2K not doing as well this year is what it looks like.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. It's just I'm tired. I'm actually surprised to see Dragon's Dogma. Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, Dragon's Dogma 2 at 9.
Yeah, I'm actually glad to see that, but
it is cool.
I don't know, man.
No, it is literally half though, because you got 1. So EA Sports College Football 25, that's 1. Madden 25 is 2. EA Sports MVP bundles 3. EA Sports FC 25 is 4. MLB The Show is 5. WWE 2K24 is 6. NBA 2K24 is 7. Madden NFL 24 is 8. I think that's all of them. So it's actually only 8 of the 20. Yeah, 40. Only 40% of the games are sports games, and then 2 Call of Duty games. So there you go. Half the games are either Call of Duty games or sports games.
Hey, bro. Okay, 2K25 did come out. I don't see it on any list. Yeah.
Oh, really? Oh, you're right. It is. It's number 17.
It's half off. It's half off. Dude, you get it for $30 right now.
Whoa. In the middle of the season. Wait a second. Hold on, DJ. I know you actually, I don't know. This is 3 hours and 45 minutes of podcast. You probably are listening to this. Like, is something going on with 2K right now? Like NBA 2K? Because we need to know. This is interesting. That is not normal, right? At this point,
that's definitely not normal.
Like 2 months in, that it's not even in the top 20 for the year. That's crazy.
And it's basketball season. This is the beginning of basketball season.
Wow, is something going on with 2K, dude? Oh no! Oh no, dude, I'm like punch drunk at this point. Holy shit, what is going on? I don't see any news articles or anything right now, though. I'm just trying to find something.
It's 60% off on Steam
right now.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
Like after Black Friday. This is like the week after Black Friday.
I'm literally looking at the sales right now. It says save 60% on NBA 2K. It's $30 at Walmart right now.
What is going on? Oh no. Yeah, it's $28.
This is the PS5 version.
24 is not on sale. It's $60. What the fuck? What? Bro, the Steam on 2K24 mostly negative. 31% of people are positive. Holy shit, dude. Oh, man.
Dude, it has a 6 out of 10 right now on Steam.
25?
Yeah.
Yeah, 59% of users. Dude, there's like nobody, though. It's only 8,900 people on PC. What the hell? That rated it. That's super low. What the fuck,
Holy
dude?
shit.
Something's going down. Something's going down with 2K right now, I feel like.
I mean, this went under the radar. Holy shit! I gotta look this up for next week.
Yeah, we need to see it for next week. DJ, if you have any
Yeah.
inside information about this, or not inside, but like any information as somebody who partakes in these games, let us know, because this is interesting. Holy shit. Yeah, I was like reading the list. I'm like, oh, 2K24, and then I'm like, wait a second. And you're right. Yeah, like if you go up to the monthly list, the 2K25 is on there at 17. So very interesting. Well, this is something we'll monitor, certainly. Whatever's going on there. But Montrell, okay, let's get the fuck out of here, dude. We've been doing this. We've been going for 3 hours 45 minutes. Like we need to go. I need to eat something. All right. Like I said at the beginning of the episode, next week we're not sure what we're doing with the Game Awards, so there's a possibility that the episode might be delayed to Saturday. It might not even be at 6 a.m. It may potentially be later. We were talking about maybe recording on Saturday, so I'm not sure what we're doing yet. So just be flexible with us on the episode. It may post at 6 a.m. on Friday. It may not. It may, but you're definitely getting an episode. Don't worry about that. There will be an episode next week for sure. So, all right. If you guys like this episode, though, please like the show, review the show, and subscribe to the show on whatever feed you're listening to it on. And please subscribe to us on YouTube. If you'd like to interact with us on Twitter, you can do so at iTrapForTheHokage for Montrell. That is the number 4, not the word. I'm at ThunderNut01, and the show is at The Player's Take. If you'd like to ask us a question, you can do so on Twitter, or you can send us an email to theplayerstake01@gmail.com. And that'll be it for us, guys. We hope you enjoyed this episode, and we will see you next week. Bye.